One last thing, I apologize. Your ERP system, which is your enterprise resource planning, you see, who actually put that together? Because that covers your asset management of your whole metro. Because it's the pipes, it's the, you name it, from properties, as you said, because it's enterprise planning. So was one company managing your ERP system?
Okay, can I just ask you to note that down, because Honorable Mdolo and Honorable Gupega are never gonna get a chance. Honorable Mdolo.
No, thank you, Chair. Honorable Mayor, if I may ask, taking into cognizance the history and the exposure the municipality have been at, if I may ask, are you willing actually with your management to avail yourself for vetting processes voluntarily without being asked actually to do that? Will you be willing to, as a team, to just submit and avail yourself for vetting by SSA? Number one. Number two, Honorable Mayor, there are about 221 municipal properties that were fraudulently transferred over 22 years under successive administration in this city. The total value of that was about 58 million. As the executive mayor and political head of this municipality, what political commitment do you make to this committee today that every one of those 208 criminal referrals will be actively monitored by your office? Just to go further on that issue, the SIU final presidential report on Ekhurhuleni is currently under review. This means let me just leave the chair because I'll come to that later. The SIU investigation under Proclamation 195, R195 of 2024 found that 221 properties in Villaleza Township were fraudulently transferred without municipal sanction between 1 January 2002 and 4 October 2024, a period spanning over 2 decades. A fraudulent documentation was submitted to this office, and the conveyancer had no mandate to transfer those properties. This did not happen overnight. It happened over 22 years again. So, another question, Honorable Mayor. The AG had flagged that Clayville Extension 45 social housing project was incomplete and constituting a material financial loss. People are waiting for housing while public money has been spent and nothing has been delivered in that regard. So I would also like to check, Honorable Mayor, whether in your staff complement, especially, are there municipal senior officials that are owing the municipality? if they are, then that will also include councillors. What is your payment plan with regard to that? Are there any bonuses that are also being paid to you as the senior managers? If they are, will you be able to take us through or to take us into confidence as this committee with regard to that? Lastly, Chair, is there any one of you actually amongst yourselves that have criminal records? Why I'm raising this issue, I know it could be personal. It could be personal. I'm raising this issue because of the number of your employees that actually are having criminal records. So I'm worried because we might actually think that it's only those employees that have criminal record, or to find that even amongst you, there are those that have criminal records. So are you willing to declare that actually none amongst you that have criminal records that were not declared before you were employed? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings once again to this House. Ngibingelele to the team from Ekhurhuleni. Chair, I am shocked. Honorable Nielwe spoke about this, but I'm not sure how we can get to highlight the shock and the severity of the issues, especially regarding this whole case story that we've just been given. I know it was said in just by the way type of manner, but I think this needs to be highlighted. If, Honorable Mayor, you've got 72 cases, 27 of which are assault cases, 14 of robbery, 12 of murder, 9 of attempted murder, 6 of kidnappings. What do you say about, what does this say about the contingent that you lead? What does it say to you? Are those people still supposed to be employed by the municipality? Should they not possibly be on suspension? Are they on suspension? What is going on? And just critically, there's a section here that says other violent crimes. Could someone highlight us as to what those other violent crimes are? You've got a further 14 fraud cases, another 10 defeating the ends of justice cases, 8 statutory corruption cases, 8 conspiracy, 7 extortion, and again, 4 other. What is other? Now, I just would like to know, with the guys who are, with the people who are committing the fraud, defeating the ends of justice, conspiracy, extortion, are any of those people working with contracts management in SEM and anywhere in senior management? And are they actually still employed? I think that's the biggest issue here. We've got possession of stolen firearm, possession of firearm without license. We've got assault, theft, statutory corruption, attempted murder, fraud, robbery. Hey, me uphethe mguluko tu lapana yo. Ngeke me ngiyacela please just khanyisele indulge us mayor. Ngeke che if kuthi ayikhulumela inkulumo lapha che ngicela ukuyi-withdraw ngo mayingashiwo kule ndlu leyo.
You sound like you're going to say kubi pa.
Yo che kubi lapha kubi. You know che at this rate I feel for the people who are working there, Chair, because if you've got this many number of people who are committing such crimes, I'm sure the ladies are even scared to go to work. You've got sexual offences here as well, and a large number of them. So, Mayor, I don't know. Ngiyacela just please tell us what's happening in the city of Ekhurhuleni. Secondly, the city has suspended 17 officials, including several high-ranking managers, who collectively cost the municipality around 12.7 million annually in salaries. Now, 8 of these individuals have been on suspension for longer than the legally stipulated 90-day guideline. I just would like to know, on that one, what is the municipality doing? How are you going to be handling that one? Because if it's after 90 days, these people have been on suspension, what's happening with those cases? Why are those cases not being closed? And does that not translate to wasteful expenditure? And then the next question is, I would like you guys to take us through what is happening with your wastewater treatment works that has been said to be actively polluting your water sources, your critical water sources. Please comment on that. And then just to piggyback on that, acting city manager, what is your vacancy rate there? Especially in the environmental protection services or sector, because now if you've got issues of wastewater treatment works polluting water sources, the likelihood is you've got an issue there. Also include that or couple that with your technical infrastructure, because Ekhurhuleni is the same as the city of Johannesburg. You've got a serious problem with your technical infrastructure. Your finance and administration as well, please include that. And then just lastly, Chair, there's a question I wanted to ask. No, but it's fine. I'll take the answers, Chair, for now. Maybe I'll come back with a follow-up. Thank you.
Thanks very much. If you can start with Honorable Neil May's follow-up question, and then Nizeng Olai.
Maybe General, you can take the issue about the project delays and I mean, how do you align completion of projects and the payment of invoices? Because we are sitting at 70% of project performance. Currently, the projects are being finalized. On Friday, we're following up on some of the projects, you know, the bridge and all that. They are being completed. But how do you ensure that, you know, as you close the financial year, you accrue or you ensure that those invoices are not carried through to the next financial year? But the impact of the 2 billion, because it has delayed, you know, the speed within which we deliver services, and I'm sure it's something that we can reflect on. So we can talk about the vetting. I would like to make a contribution because there's certain things that have been asked to us as a political leadership. Maybe just close that one, General, first, and then we can then take the other questions.
Thank you. On the issue of the capex, what we do in line with the appointment with the service level agreement that we have with the contractors, we pay in line with the stage of completion. So when the contractors are being paid in line with their BOQ and SLAs, it will be determined that once you reach a particular stage, meaning 30%, then we are supposed to disperse a certain amount of payment. So on that one, Chair, I can confidently say, in terms of the correlation between the spending and completion, we are in line with the SLAs and the manner in which those service providers have been appointed. So we will not have instances where the spending maybe sitting at 100% while the stage of completion, I'll make an example, is sitting on 10%, because that verification is done at a department level. And again, when it comes to finance, we also do that verification, as we know that when it comes to construction contracts, we have something that we call retention, and retention is the amount of money that is being retained per stage of completion. So those checks are being done, Chair. And in terms of accrual, obviously we will have instances where the service provider will submit invoice, I will say, first and second week of July, because, for an example, if they finish a particular work by the 30th of June, we have a responsibility to accrue those invoices. So meaning the actual payment, definitely the money will be coming out in the new financial year, but the payment will be done from the 2026 budget, but the actual flow of money, because we can only pay after getting the physical invoices. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, there's issues about vetting processes. In the State of the City's address, we did announce that we are taking forward the vetting. We're busy finalizing the framework. We take the cue from the province. The Premier recently conducted the vetting, so we are processing a framework. The senior management, all of them, they're subjected to SSA clearance. Before we appoint them, we actually get that process through where they are, where they get the state security clearance. And I'm sure as a political leadership, the party I come from, now they are busy finalizing the candidates. We are subjected to rigorous, screening processes. So I'm just trying to, respond directly to honorable member there that, these are processes that we are upholding. The issues of the Villa Lisa process, we spoke about it at length in the last council. In the last when we appeared here before SCOPA extensively, but we did also indicate that we are waiting for the report, because the report, it needs to be signed, the final report by the president with clear recommendations in terms of what needs to happen. The report has been SIU. They appeared before the committee here. They've outlined the report, but the report is still going through a final processing. Equally, this vetting report of the EMPD that we're talking about is still going through council processes so that it is then fully implemented. You must appreciate, honorable remember, that they date back 2006. They date back, since the inception of the municipality. I've only been a mayor for the last 2 years. And we've now done a proactive, vetting process. That's why we've got these results. That's why we've got this analysis. We're taking them through the process. And we're doing that decisively without a fear or favor. But we must appreciate that there is a labor relations in this country. Whatever that you do, you've got laws of the country that you must observe. You've got collective bargaining that regulates, employees below, senior management, and there's unions and all that. You also have for senior managers, legislation that you must actually follow to effect DC. I've reported here that the head of ICT has been on suspension for, it's over a year now. He has taken the city to court 5 times. What do you do in that regard? Until just now in March, we started to sit, the process, which is outside of, because we can't interfere. You can only provide leadership to say the head of administration, they must make sure that, those processes, they are presided upon by competent. You must appoint a chair of the DC. There's appoint the lead evidence, and there's those processes, and we get then the reports as council, but of course it's subjected to the collective leadership of council in terms of what must actually happen. In whatever that we do, we must also protect the interest of the municipality so that we don't expose the municipality to, potential litigations where we could be found to be wanting. And litigations, they also goes with fruitless expenditure, where the mayor can be held accountable for compromising, council. So whatever that we do, we have to ensure that we observe, the laws of the country. And at times they do get abused because there is no reason from where I'm sitting, if it was up to me, that a case where we've taken to council in relation to the ICT problems that we're sitting with. Last year in March, it is now in June. It has not been resolved. If it was up to me, I would decisively intervene, but it's not. It's subjected to council and the dynamism of council. So it goes also to the other junior officials. We've suspended because of the Madlanga revelations, head of HR, head of legal, and those were done in November or in October. Until now, the DC processes are yet to, because there's various things that are happening and all that, which are provided for in the legal framework. And these reports, we've brought them before council. In the last council meeting, I've brought all the 4 or 5 reports to say this is where we are, and council, they note it because it's a wisdom of council on the basis of what is transpiring in the DC platform. And I think we do disclose. If you've got the information, you can share. When we do our annual financial statements, all the cost of the senior officials are disclosed there in terms of what is it that they owe the councillors as well. That information is readily available, and the city do also follow up, including preferring garnishing some of the employees in order to recover the money where people are really owing. The Clayville social housing, we also dealt with it in the last appearance here. The project was stopped at some point due to a wrong and incorrect funding grants that was being utilized. And we are busy now with our Ekhurhuleni housing company to actually resuscitate that project. But it's part of the bigger Clayville 45 project, which is aimed at creating about 22,000 housing opportunities. As I indicated today, we're allocating another 140 housing opportunities. So the project is ongoing. It's one of our anchor projects in terms of the housing delivery in the north in Tembisa, as part of the 16 mega smart human settlements projects that we are doing. All of them, they are on course except 3. Which we've reported about, which is Tembisa 25, Clayville Extension 9, Fostoras Extension 9, and the third project is there in Wattville. So all the other of 13 projects, John Dube, Development, Rowport, they're all performing, and they were busy allocating housing to our people. I think you can take some since you're in your team.
Sorry, can I just make 2 interventions? So, Executive Mayor, I understand you've got a very important meeting tomorrow. So that appeal for concise answers applied to you too. Also in consideration of the fact that I think you might be on a 6 o'clock flight tomorrow. So please keep your answers short. The second thing is I need you to just explain this slide here. What do you guys mean by vetting? What actually happens here? Because I suspect it's not actually vetting, it's a records check. Which one is it?
Chair, we did fingerprints. So took fingerprints, obviously checked against the SAPS database for obviously to check if there's any offenses that we could pick up against the individuals.
That's not vetting. It's a background check.
Yeah, so if I can just add, Chair, so that's the first part that we wanted to do. That's why we've got SSA in the ground. So we've done this part. SSA is already undergoing the senior management of EMPD, which is after this process as well. So.
Okay, so all I'm saying is that don't call this vetting. So this is a mistake in this presentation, not vetting. You know what alerted me to it? When the executive mayor said you vet people before you hire them. So this committee has got vetting of people across the civil service as one of its KPIs. There is a backlog in government of vetting by SSA. I'm wondering how you guys manage to get it done by them before you hire people. Are you certain, Mayor, this is what happens? Because if it does, I will celebrate here. It hasn't happened anywhere else. We get regular reports as a committee. The presidency comes here to account for it. How do you guys get it done? Are you sure it gets done by SSA? Maybe it was a mistake, Mayor. I just want to be sure.
Yeah, no, for senior managers, for every HOD to be finally employed, a report from state security. There's various clearances, psychometric, there's interview. We also sent the report which come back from state security. We can show you.
How long does it take?
Well, I mean, within the interviewing period, I'm sure 2 weeks or so. I don't have the.
Mayor, no. Colleagues, okay. So
we can argue about
okay.
semantics, but all what we're saying is that before we employ any senior manager, we send probably that here they've actually have declared here they've actually have declared.
So when did they start doing this for the city?
We're doing it for every HOD that we employ.
No, I know. When did they start doing that for you?
Who?
SSA.
No, I'm saying when we employ an HOD.
Yeah. When did they start? It's been there forever.
For every official.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, is it something?
I would not know for when, but I'm saying, for as long as I have been the executive mayor for 2 years, or at least for as long as I've been a member of the mayoral committee.
How long is that?
I've been in council for 15 years now. I've been a member of the mayoral committee for more than 10 years, and I can.
No, I'm not saying you are lying. So let me just tell you what the problem is. I'll come to you, Honorable Direct. So I don't think any of you know where I'm going. So let me reveal my hand. You see, so you might be telling us something now that gives us a sense of whether SSA do this properly or not. You see people like Julius Mkwanazi and is cavorting with criminals and so on. When people are security vetted, those things get picked up as part of the vetting.
Yeah, Julius Mkwanazi is not a senior manager.
It doesn't matter. He's in a critical security function. He was head of police.
But Chair, what I'm talking about is this team of senior managers.
Can you wait for me to finish, Mayor? I waited until you finished, and this is not a fight.
Your reference is for someone who's outside of what we're talking
about. Let me leave Julius Mkwanazi out. So let me say this, because you actually have more problems. It doesn't help you. Your denial doesn't help you, Mayor. It has a no, please, Mayor, can you let me? I need to explain what I mean. Don't be defensive. Can I explain what I mean? Let's calm down.
Sorry, I have to come in, Mayor. I think you are not going to get to help yourself. The chairperson is running the meeting. You've been given space to say something. The mayor is trying to redirect issues. You can't even wait for a sentence to be finished. It's inappropriate. So let's not do that. Just wait for the questions. If you don't like the question, you must say so. If you don't like the direction of the discussion, you must say so. But we can't allow this kind of exchange. It's becoming very disrespectful.
All right. No, thanks, Chair. So let me just explain what I mean. Okay, so vetting is a risk management tool. It's a risk aversion tool, okay? It looks at a variety of things, or at least it's supposed to. And I'm not going to where we're blaming you, by the way. I'm going to where what the SSA actually does when they claim to be vetting people. It's also a counterintelligence measure. It looks at a variety of things. For instance, somebody with a gambling problem is susceptible to bribery. SSA is supposed to look at that. That's what vetting is. Okay? Somebody with high debts, expensive tastes versus income, susceptible to bribery and corruption. That's what they are supposed to do. So let us leave the chief, who's apparently a junior employee. Let us talk about the most famous municipal manager that everybody knows. There is no way that person was properly vetted in the way that I described, and I'm not blaming you. I am saying the process that is claimed to be vetting in South Africa is nothing of the sort. And Ekhurhuleni, by the way, would not be peculiar. The senior police officials that are in league with criminals and so on tells you there is no counterintelligence system and vetting system before people get clearances, they get appointed to senior posts and so on. I think we can agree that this is what we're dealing with. The reason I was saying don't be defensive is that it feels like you feel that I'm coming at you. I'm not. What I'm saying is where I was going. That's what vetting is. So that the authority, you guys as a municipality, can then be told, this person you want to hire has a serious gambling problem. Have you received any such warning about any of your employees, just as a proof point? If the SSA hasn't said that to you, they're just doing whatever they're doing for vibes and calling it vetting to you. That's where I'm going. That's why I was saying just I'm not fighting with you, man. Okay. So it's clear that process of risk management then doesn't happen because your employees subsequently who exhibit the kind of high risk behavior are now famous. And which means whatever they've been doing for you does not work. Because those people shouldn't be having you explain. That's where I was going, Executive Mayor, not at you. Which is why I was asking, what is this vetting that we're talking about? Is it just background checks or is it proper vetting? We will take this up then with the minister in the presidency because they do come here to explain. But if they do this for you, they do it quickly. The problems that we're seeing in the news tell us they're not doing it properly. That's where I was going. But you can respond. But that's where I was going.
No, thanks, Chair. Apologies to the meeting, to the committee.
Can we just let them just finish? Just on this one, okay?
There's a misunderstanding in terms of how we understand the vetting. The reason why I'm saying is because even in police, we have a challenge of vetting, as you know that during the State of the Nation address, the president had made a commitment that all the senior officials of government should be vetted, but we are still having that backlog. Maybe what the municipality is referring to is that police clearance that you usually get within 2 weeks. That's the only one. That's the only document that you can get where it gives you all the information within 2 weeks. But in terms of vetting, it takes more than a month because they also need to go into your relatives, your friends, and what to do that background check. So it's a process that can take about 4 to 6 months because they also need to go into your bank account and stuff like that. So I believe that the one that you take shorter period is the clearance.
Police clearance. So it could be that that's what's going on. But anyway, colleagues, I don't want us to have an academic discussion about this. All I'm saying is that the kind of behaviors we see in the police and elsewhere show that the vetting is not proper, one. And secondly, we know there is a backlog. So it was, you can hear the honorable member, it's not just me. There is a backlog. So when you said they do it within the hiring period, we were all stunned. I'm sure you heard the room erupt because there's a backlog. But anyway, please continue, colleagues. And if there's something you want to address, you can do it when your turn comes.
No, thanks, Chair. I think we all what we wanted to just demonstrate is two separate processes between this process of vetting the EMPD, I'm going to use the word vetting, of the EMPD officials, and I'm sure you can better explain it because it's something that we've done it, we've got a service provider to do it internally. And we did say the SSA is also doing a further vetting. There's a process that they're doing over and above. We're talking about this process, that's why we're saying we've been proactive. Badlanga gave us a revelations. We went in and be able to produce this type of report while we're waiting for the SSA. And you'll agree with me because that is being prudent with the limitations that we actually have. And I'm sure, Philip, you can further expand in terms of exactly what is it that we're doing. Safe to say that in the process of hiring, there's a process that we do, and if there's a further process that we need to do from time to time. That's why we said we're busy, in a framework, that will guide us. We've announced that in the State of the City's address, and I'm sure we will then, be guided accordingly in terms of, the proper way of doing all this. There were other questions, Chair. I'm sure the MMC of water and sanitation can pick up in terms of ERVAT, the wastewater treatment plants, and our capacity and how we're performing thus far.
No, thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair. Yeah, we had one plant at Hartbeespoort and Olifantsfontein that were not performing accordingly. And subsequent to that, we recommissioned the two plants, and now they are at 80%. And subsequent to that, we would have went to a vigorous process where we won some awards for the green drop, 6 awards in Ekhurhuleni, and the 3 plants awards again in Ekhurhuleni to show that our water treatment plants are in a good standard, in a good shape. Thank you very much.
Thanks, EM. I think I'll take the question that was raised by the honourable member on the issues of the vacancy rate. We're sitting at currently sitting at 27.5 in terms of our vacancy rates. But on the issue that you raised, honourable member, so in terms of the resilience, so we've got a division called Resilience and Project. What the division does, it's within the community services. It's responsible for our wetland, the discharge of any spillages in our wetlands. It also manages the issues within our lakes and dams. So we've got in that division there is about 8 in terms of the vacancy rates. So we don't have much in terms of the vacancy rates because we've got our enforcement, bylaw enforcement officers that are working together with environmental resource management, and these compliant officers are the one that does give notices in terms of non-compliance of discharge of any sewer or any other in our lakes and dams. This they call them green scorpions in the city of Ekhurhuleni. They're the one that does enforce the bylaw. They work closely in the office of the city manager. So I thought I would just clear that, but we don't have a significant vacancy rate in the division. Thank you, Chair. I think the CAE will then deal with the issue of the other issues.
All right. No, thank you very much, Chair. I think just to close on, whether you call it record checking or vetting, is that with the police, EMPD officials, it's very clear in the police generally that you can't have a criminal record. And obviously, these processes of labor regulations of taking a person through incapacity processes, which obviously has its own processes as well. So just to close that on that as well. Chair, on the issues of the properties, I think it was raised sharply, which Executive Mayor has spoken to around the SIU report. But I think we also need to report that the lawyers that were involved, the city reported them, and one has been struck off, and the others are going through a disciplinary processes. So that we can report on. And then I think, Chair, you earlier, I think you gave us a homework to check how many systems we have. So we have 90 systems. 90, yes, yeah. So 22 of that obviously was developed by XCT. So just to answer you strictly. And I think there was also questions earlier around the issues of what have we done now. I think just to reiterate, I think the members from slide 26, they can look into what have we done in terms of the systems. That's the information that says for members only, Chair. Chair, I would leave it at that, and I would give my colleagues maybe they want to have a bite in some of the issues.
All right. Honorable Mtolo and Honorable Gupega, follow-ups for you.
Yeah, no, thank Chair. Now, having understood that actually there was a misunderstanding with regard to vetting, can I confirm that you are willing
Yes.
to undertake it?
Sorry?
Can I confirm that actually, as per my question, that as top management, you are willing to voluntarily undertaking it?
We have announced in the State of the City's address, addressing the communities of Ekhurhuleni, that part of the measures that we are considering is the vetting. We did indicate here that we are busy with the framework because we have to understand, learn from how the province has actually done it, so that, and including the challenges that the province has actually confronted with, and process the item to cancel. And that is the undertaking that we've made, and those are the processes that are currently ongoing. Thanks.
Yeah. Chair, having actually understood the process, can we agree on record that none of you has actually undergone the vetting as outlined by the Chair, supported by Honorable Terego? Because the question that actually I've raised, was based on the analysis of the Chairperson and the confirmation by Honorable Terego. Because once you are vetted, because being vetted and be security cleared, those are two different things, because you can be vetted but not be security cleared. So none of you actually possess a certificate that actually you are security cleared in terms of secret or top secret, or actually you can work and manage the public purse effectively as per your area of work. So you can be vetted, Mr. Mayor, but also find that actually you are not security cleared. Or maybe you can be vetted, also find that you don't pass that vetting. None of you possess a certificate that you are vetted and security cleared. Can we agree on record that none of you possess that?
We agree. We receive guidance from the Chair. We are not experts in the security checks and verifications and all that. Chair, that is why I've said I would know, for instance, in my organization where I come from, currently, the mayoral candidate selection processes, it involves some vetting processes. How and the extent, I'm sure there are those who are skilled to do that. I would not be able to comment. I'm not an expert. We rely on yourself and your guidance. Chair.
No,
Thanks.
no, we're not either. But I think the answer maybe is in what you said. You said you are waiting for SSA to there's an extra layer that SSA is supposed to do, right? And I think that's what Honorable Mdolo is referring to, that once they've completed that process, then they will be able to give feedback to the city. You see? So yeah, I think that's what this conversation is about.
I think I must confirm there is a team, the state security, that are deployed. They are currently working. And Chair, I'm not sure how much I can say about some of
No, you don't need to get into the nitty-gritties of their work. We were just confirming, and I think you've confirmed, Honorable Mdolo, that since that work has not completed, none of you have got those certificates yet. I think that was the Honorable Member's point. We don't need to dispute or argue it any further since you've conceded.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe, I just need a clarity, especially in that question, whether there is a legislation that, would have required us to be vetted. Because my worry, it's going to come out as if it's something that was meant to be done, but it was not done. So if we can be referred to, so that it's answered appropriately. Thank you.
Hang on. So he said senior management. So he didn't say the mayor and Mrs. So senior management. Sorry. So there was a cabinet decision. I forget the year, and maybe the Honorable Dr. Mkize can assist me. There was a cabinet decision taken that all senior employees of a certain level, I don't want to be too specific, need to be vetted. So that's why Parliament keeps asking this question around the vetting of senior management or executives in state entities. It's not just government departments, also even in places like ESCOM and Transnet and so on. So there was an actual announced cabinet decision to do so. Right, so the expectation is that throughout the government, that would be carried through. Secondly, I don't think we need to quibble about whether there's legislation or not. I think we all agree as South Africans, given the problems we have had over the years with the appropriateness of certain people in certain roles, it's a good thing to do. And I don't think any of us can fight about it. I don't think we are fighting either. So I don't know if anything turns on this conversation. I think we can move on. Honorable Mdolo has got more than one question that he needed answered.
No, Chair. I think they should take this question in good faith, and just to make you free, Honorable Mayor. Some of us are vetted by law as members of Parliament. Not that actually will take, not all. Some of us by law are vetted, and we do possess those certificates, some of us, but not all of us. So that's why actually the chair says senior management. I think it will be important, Mr. Mayor, that it happens. Not that we are only raising with you, but feel free that some of us as members of Parliament are vetted. We're not only raising with you, but as top management, take it that it is important, take it in good faith, that to protect the public purse of Ekhurhuleni. Please, that's why I asked you whether are you willing to voluntarily submit yourself. And then you said, we are willing. We're not forcing you at this point in time.
No, thank you very much. Honorable Gupega, you also had to have a chance for a follow-up.
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm not sure. I didn't hear Umeya speaking to us about the lemkuludu egcwele lapha. I didn't hear Honorable Mayor speaking about the issues I was raising with the people who are charged, Mayor. I need you to touch on that for us, please. Just indulge us a little bit. That was the first one. The second one was the issue with the waste water treatment works, I was under the impression that Olifantsfontein, Olifantsfontein and Waterval are the wastewater treatment plants that are polluting the water sources. So I'm not sure what the position is of the gentleman sitting next to me. Are you saying basically that all of that has been sorted? You are now 100% and you are compliant? Okay, no, thank you. And then lastly, Chair, the AG had found that contracts were awarded to bidders based on criteria that differed from what was stated in the original bid invitation. In plain terms, the rules were changed after bids were submitted. This is manipulation of the tender process, and the Auditor General also identified possible collusion between officials and bidders. Now, Chair, I think the question there would be, we've sat here and we've discussed a whole range of issues, but fact of the matter is, SCM in Ekhurhuleni, I think we all agree, has been compromised for a very long time. Now, I know that there's not much that could have been done from the last time you guys were here to now. Now, acting CM, between the contract manipulation, the manipulation of documents, manipulation of tenders, is there a plan around that? Because every time we're here, every day we're here, the likelihood is your people are busy there manipulating tenders. They are busy taking documents out, putting documents in of tenders that have been closed, and. Is there a plan there to work that out? Do you know who the corrupt people are that the AG is speaking about? Have you suspended them? What is the issue there? What is happening there? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think from the last time we met, we must say that obviously the report on irregular expenditure was tabled to MPEG, of which is the one that will be responsible in recommending for investigation. That's for the past irregular expenditure. And subsequent to that, this week we had a training for all divisional heads, HOD, as well as project managers that are responsible for the procurement process. The training is meant to actually capacitate our colleagues in terms of the technical ability. However, when it comes to the issue of human intervention, what we've done, because we've documented the turnaround strategy that can be shared by the CAE. So on the turnaround strategy, what we've identified is that we have bid committees that sit in another building. And the evaluation of documents, you find that it happens in another building. So what we've decided to do is that the bid committees that's supposed to evaluate this document, they will be going to the physical building where the documents are, because what we've identified is that the manipulations, most of the time, it happens when the documents are being moved from one building to another. So, and we also have created boardrooms that will be dedicated evaluation boardrooms, meaning when we come here in the morning, we evaluate documents. None of the evaluation team is able to leave this room with the document. So as part of that, we are trying to intensify the security, meaning in terms of cameras in those rooms, because before there are different boardrooms, maybe a boardroom that's similar to this one, but might not have individual cameras that is looking at the evaluation team. So that's a critical part that we've decided to incorporate on the new evaluation. Thanks,
Chair. Just the last one in terms of follow-up. Chair, in terms of the data and information leak or breach, this is the right word. So there are two authorities that actually deal with that. That is SAPS and Information Regulator. Can I check with the municipality whether in terms of that information breach or data leak or breach, was the matter actually reported to SAPS for investigation, and more importantly as well with the information regulator. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. Just the last one. Yes, the issues have been reported to the securities, including the law enforcement, and the granular details. I think CAE can even go into details in terms of how far they've gone in terms of reporting to the issues, in terms of the data information and the manipulation, the breach thereof. We have reported those cases. And then on the other issue that was raised by
Sorry, can I just ask you to complete? So he asked about law enforcement and the information regulator. Do we have an answer for that part?
We have reported, but I think the CAE can also add on to in the granular details in terms of how far we've gone in terms. But we have reported any data breach to the law enforcement. We have reported to the subs, but he will go in detail, Chair.
Can you just deal with the information regulator, CAE, because the Honourable Mtolo's question was specific.
No, thank you very much, Chair. So the information regulator, we haven't involved them yet. And I'll just give a brief explanation why not. Because we are still in the ongoing investigation. So once we've completed it, obviously all the information will then be given there. But the most important thing, Chair, and I think the members will also appreciate, is that once we identify an individual, we want them to be arrested while we're dealing with all the other reporting mechanism. And we're not taking the information regulator lightly as well. And just to the question whether we reported to SAPS, just to add, there was actually an arrest in relation to that. And we are looking to others in future as we doing the forensic investigation.
No, Chair, you can actually do both. I'll advise that actually as an entity, as a government entity, or as part of government, I think it is important because we are talking of the information of government here, and that also involves the public purse. I will advise actually that actually you should also, because the information regulator will assist you a lot in terms of investigating and advise in terms of closing the gaps. So I think that is important that actually you also report to them, because they'll also conduct an investigation and assist the municipality as well in terms of information and data breach. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable. Can we deal with Honourable Gubeka's questions, because I need to move to Honourable Matuna and Honourable Ed Direko. So Honourable Gubeka's follow-ups.
On the supply chain, Chair, we responded. The group safe all responded on that, unless if then.
Okay, Honourable Gubeka, you saved. Why do I get the feeling that
I'm waiting for Mayor, Chair.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Mayor. Mayor haven't called my mkurubuti yake.
Thought so.
No, yeah, no, thanks, Chair. I mean, let's. What we reported, Chair, is that this report, it's a new report. It's just been completed, I think, about a week or so ago. We must still process it within the structures of council. Administratively, that is why we're also talking about a bit of changes in the leadership, because HR we've been affected a bit, legal we've been affected a bit. Currently, the city manager who was leading some of this intervention is also affected. So the speed within which we should be moving, we do get affected. In HR, there's an acting person. In legal, there's an acting person. The city manager issues, they do impact, but also council. But we have to take, because currently we're busy with budget processes, but certainly in the next process, we should be taking this report. And the report, where there's junior officials, it must be very clear in terms of what course of action needs to happen. But we must also have an appreciation that on deeper analysis, because You know, some of these issues, they are demilitarization. Those who were integrated into structures with apartheid crimes, which is easy when we talk to the support that we have now, because there's a support of police contingents that is working with us, and they're recommending we should be able to send it through for, what is the process? Expansion, so that we then can categorize. We've dealt with these issues, but these issues that are recent are issues that needs a bit of decisiveness. We've reported here that there is a lot of pushback, but it requires us to be firm. I had indicated that the issues of EMPD that we're dealing with, it's the rot is deep, but is led by a few who have even registered a union, an illegal union, which mobilize EMPD people to close the highways because they don't want to account. There's also other 44 senior manager, 44, I said I need a report, of the 44 who have refused, blatantly said that they are not coming for the vetting. So those are some of the things that we're dealing with. We've engaged the police that are in the environment. We did say to them that we're going to need their firm hand. I've engaged some of the authorities in terms of also getting a secondment, because currently we don't have a chief of police, we don't have the deputies. The deputy is the one that we're talking about who's faced a suspension. There's also another deputy who also is facing certain allegations. There's allegations and counter allegations. And it then leaves you to go to a lower level of directors. And then with that type of incapacitation, we're not able to move firmly and decisively. And that is why we've then escalated to say probably we do need an intervention. I've gone to council to say I need to advertise, proactively. Dynamics in council, they've pushed back the item to say you can't advertise, finalize the MAPIA issue. So we have to dynamically try and maneuver that environment. But there is a commitment on our side that now we've got a report that we call vetting with its limitation, and I think we appreciate that, but at least it enables us to effect certain consequences and to refer to also appropriate bodies to assist us to deal with as much as Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. I will get very worried if you also become you also get an acting mayor there, because then everybody will be acting at the city.
Thanks, Chair. Just on the violent crimes, we had 27 assault, robbery, murder, attempted murder, kidnappings, and then we had 4 other. And I asked, what's that other? And then on the corruption one, we had fraud, defeating the ends of justice, statutory corruption, conspiracy, extortion, and then we had another 4 other. So I just would like to know, what is that 4 other that we're talking about? What kind of crime is it that we are not able to describe what it is? We've described murder, which is
please go up, because okay, maybe then the table will help us.
There, that one. What's that other at the end? The first 2 under violent crimes and integrity and corruption. 51 cases. There's that 4 other at the end. What is that?
Chair, I think if the honourable member can just check at the bottom of the.
Oh, there you see the other there.
Yes.
Cool drink. It's a cool drink there.
Chair, do you understand it? Resisting police?
Yeah, so
police indecency. I'm trying to understand which ones are violent crimes, which one are. Oh, okay. No, I see. Now, sorry, Chair, I wasn't seeing. I didn't look at that part. Thank you.
Okay, no, thanks, Honorable Kupek. So I think we clarified Honorable Maduna and Honorable Terek.
Oh, no, thanks, Chair. Sekibusuku ngempela sihlalo umuntu akabulize kuphela.
He's not vetted, this one. Honorable Mtolo is, but this one is not vetted.
No. In line with the language that is being used in this report, I'm vetted. I'm positive that I would get it if I would go to vetting. Chair. No. Umdabulis Slalo, to you, the chair, the members, and the executive mayor and your management. I think my first comment would be that, but Mayor, I'm getting a bit worried. It appears to me that your CAE is the one that I see that is even the one that presented. I think all of us will agree that is part of the management administratively. For him to have budget, for him to be able to sit and get information firsthand. But it's always important that he becomes objective, independent, in order for him to be able to provide adequate assurance and the consulting activity that in which internal audit was designed for. Now I get worried when he keeps on saying we, because I think now when he says we, it's as if he's part of the management functionally now, and that's a problem. He must say management did this, because even when he presented the report, I would accept it if he's presenting the report, because after he would have provided or done reviews and provided assurance that every information that is in the report is adequate and incorrect. Because if not so, he would have a problem when he goes back and he has to audit some of these things, and he has came here and say that they are correct. So I thought, Bob Mayor, I must just touch on that, so that the lines we just don't they don't end up being blurry, because we end up not knowing who's responsible for what. It's not really a part of management functionally, but administratively yes, but functionally. So it's not a usual situation whereby you find a COE. In my experiences, I've arrived here and then you find a COE presenting a report. I've never seen it, but I take it that you are suspending everyone there, so I will accept it. I think I just wanted to touch on that. Firstly, I wanted to check on this report of the verification that you would have done to find that many of your people are with criminal offenses and pending cases and all that. Who did this? Was this a report commissioned by internal audit or by management itself? That's the first thing. Secondly, I want to check, after you would have, not generally, after you would have employed someone, even if they are at a lower level, to usually do the qualification, vetting and all that. I know many entities usually use outsources and use service provider. I'm just checking with entity, given that you have so many, you are picking it up now that you have so many people with criminal, others with murder and so on and so on. The second thing I would want to, because I think this is important in terms of your POPI Act and so on, and the relevant acts, the requirements. If I'm not wrong, I think they usually require that as soon as you are aware that there was a breach, and there may be an information of people that would have been compromised, you have a requirement to report with the regulator. Even though you would have not obviously determined which information would have been compromised, but it is a requirement that you then inform the regulator to say that I've had this breach and it is the information that was compromised. Might happen that you have not determined which information exactly, and if you have determined as well, it's important that the individuals which their information was compromised, then they are alerted. Secondly, I thought it's important that I touch based on that because this information is usually used for different things. So when I'm already aware that my information is compromised, I'm always on the issue of back billing. CAE, this I'm gonna bring it to you, especially because you're also doing the presentation. Have you done the reviews to provide assurance that the big billing that we are doing is adequate and accurate, complete, and all that? And then, Chair, I think, lastly, I was just looking in the letter in which you would have sent back to the Chair around the tender register on. I'm just picking up KTVR. Just on two items, transport and fleet management, roads and transport management. I wanted to check, is that not the same department? That's one. If it's the same department, then I would have wanted to check why the 222, I would assume it's million and 102. Why did they separate those systems? Because to me they appear like they are a very similar system. I think, Chair, that was that because I think I would have canvassed many issues when we would have met them for the first time. But I think, Doc, I must say that at least compared with your counterparts, especially in Gauteng, you are now doing better. In the previous 3-4 financial years, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I'm sure you also know. We are just hoping that we are going to be able to, especially on the issues of consequence management. Because if we don't deal with the issues of consequence management, we are not going to be able to deal with many issues. For instance, by now you know that your city manager is on an extended leave. I think your city manager and the Mkwanas, correct. They have an alleged improper relationship. You need to act on that. Whether you take him on suspension or but you would need to act on it. And if you don't do these things, the problem is that they send signals in the organization that there is a culture of you not acting when people are doing wrong things. So it's very important also for you as leadership of the municipality to be able to keep your integrity and be able to set the tone at the right pace. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Terego, I'd love to give you a chance. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to Ekhurhuleni team. Chair, I don't have much questions. However, in terms of their audit outcomes, there are some recommendations that were made by AG, and also as the institution, they also have some recommendations from the law enforcement, which we are expecting them at least to implement as recommended so that they can then improve their audit outcomes and reduce some of material irregularities. Chair, on the report of the AG has found out that some of the contract or tenders were extended without proper processes, and also raised the concern with regard to the effectiveness of the audit committee. Therefore, I also want to check on the side of the CTS2, what measures have they put in place to ensure that in future they avoid a situation where they will extend contract or do anything that is subjected to the issues of procurement, which is not in line with the process of procurement in local government. And also on the issue of the audit committee, as you know, that audit committee is one of the backbone of the municipality in terms of the financial controls. what are the mechanisms in place in order to ensure that the audit committee is effective and is also strengthened so that they can do their work accordingly. And secondly, Chair, the AG also identified weaknesses in critical IT controls as a matter of concern, which then also goes to what are the measures in place on the side of the city to ensure that they address those weaknesses and also strengthen the IT controls. And in cases where we're looking at the report where you have people who are on violent crime. So in case where the city have the repeat offender in terms of such crimes, do you have a policy in place that you can apply within the city to ensure that you rehabilitate or you protect those who do not have that kind of behavior? And Chair, on the last issue, it's on the city if they can take us along, because I've heard in one of the meeting where the MEC was presenting in the legislature where he indicated that Ekhurhuleni is a champion of the water in the province, and they are also involved in peer-to-peer program. If you can just take us along as to what are the highlight of that particular program in the Gauteng and in municipalities that you've worked with. And Chair, lastly, it's on the issue of vetting, because I heard that there was a bit concern with regard to the matter that maybe the headlines may come otherwise. So previously, the clearance was enough in the institution of government. However, due to unforeseen and unfortunate activities that were happening, it was then agreed that there should be extensive process of ensuring that the people who are working in public sectors are vetted, so that you can at least identify some red flags in the beginning. So that is why that decision was taken by Parliament, that by Cabinet, that the members of the public servant members should then be vetted, especially those who occupy senior positions. Even here in Parliament, we also subjected to your clearance, police clearance, but you cannot be a member of a joint standing committee on intelligence if you are not if you have not undergone that security vetting, and it's only few. So all of us can be members of Parliament, but not all of us can pass that vetting because it details and it takes long. So, Chair, I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I ask that you also comment on Honorable Maduna's initial comment about the independence of the Chief Audit Executive? It really is an important issue. I mean, we're not trying to be funny about it, but it actually really is important, because the AG and Council rely, I don't have to tell you, you know it. So can you please comment on therefore how you interact with one another, given Honorable Maduna's observations here?
Yeah, maybe I'll take this this independency of maybe the CAE can also add. Chair, currently we have got an item to cancel to realign the Chief Audit Executive and report directly to Council. What we would have done in the past, we used to have the audit as a full department. But because of the municipal staff regulations, the institutional review, which was driven by COCTA just recently, where we are directed to cut down on the departments to 10. In fact, the prototype was that only 10 or 8 to 9 senior managers must report to the CM. So we moved from the 27 departments, we had to cut them down to about 13. And as such, we had to reduce the audit function into a unit. And one of the things that was then done in that arrangement, it then reported directly to the city manager. So we've been picked up by the audit committee, and the item is to cancel, to actually ensure that the CAE reports directly to council. But I must say that in terms of independency, because they are accountable directly, all their reports, they go to the audit committee, and the audit committee brings them to council. I've had instances where council, they sit before me, they say, "May I bring a report?" And I tell them that all the, in particular, the issues of forensic, and I must say that I'm told that our chief forensic actually has the top clearance. It's one of the, at least this one is confirmed that he has the top clearance. So they report directly to council, and those reports, they come to council every quarter, and then they are processed to MPEC, and then that is where then they are taken up, for any, implementation, and then what directed from there. And it's something that, communities, including council, sometimes they expect the mayor, with our leadership, and I'm sure we can also get some advice, Chair, in terms of how do we better manage so that the expectation from communities that the mayor must demonstrate leadership on forensic issues, that expectation is not put upon the mayor, because the mayor is not involved in those issues. But where there is an expectation, at what point do we have to ensure that we take these issues up? At least we also report them, to the public. But I'm sure CAE, you can further expand on it, on this. But this is one of the issues that we are currently reviewing. We are happy that COGTA is also flexible, because one of the things is not just around this topic. Before Madlanga, there's an issue of where the chief of police reports and how it reports. We're currently advertising the chief of police function, and it has to report to council, and that mechanism, it's what we're actually also sorting it out, because that directive to cut down on the officials that are reporting to the city manager, it does affect us as metros, quite a big, specialized type of functions, or varied type of functions. So I thought I must touch on this one, but the other one probably that talks to us just before we give to the officials. The water champion, it's something that we treasure. It's something that is led by MMC Stato here next to me. And because of the water demand and the water conservation measures, which we designed a while back, and that program allowed us to invest in the reservoirs on time. We've got now enough storage, capacity. We've spent about 1.2 billion to build 29 reservoirs. We're currently commissioning another 7, which gives us extra capacity to, even when there's challenges in Gauteng, we still have, extra days. But also our non-revenue water has been reduced. It's sitting at below 28%, while the average in the country sits at about 42%. So those are some of the things that those strategies, there's about 21 strategies that we actually share with other municipalities in terms of how best they can perform. And it also includes the wastewater programs, which we are, still ahead, of course, with some of the limitations. The current city manager, we are acting. We did say we act without fear or favor across. We've demonstrated in all the senior officials that we've taken them through the process. But we have to remind council, political parties, and even media and communities that we have to follow the process, because if you don't follow the process, you also jeopardize because those who are affected, they also exploit. Once you skip one process, they take you on. It leads to delays. It leads to unending issues before DC, and it cost the city a lot of money. So we did take the item to council, and council gave us a process to seek the legal opinion. We went to council and said this is the right route we are following on. They said bring the item. So we are then taking the item to council. We're hoping that council, with its dynamics of collision and all that, they will follow what is before the legislation. Because once there's an allegation, of course, if there's an allegation that happens outside of your work environment, there's, how do you measure the misconduct and all that? But when we're guided by legal, we are then pointed at the direction where we are able to apply the leadership correctly. We appreciate that the current city manager takes leaves on critical platforms to save us, this explanation. But we must expedite the process so that we also, don't have to sit with this on and off of a sick leave. I mean, of a special leave, so that we can decisively deal with this issue once and for all. The good thing, Chair, is that we've picked up that the court that set yesterday, they've now been shared with the details in terms of the dockets and all those charges. It means our investigating capacity can now get some of the details to enable us to advise a council accordingly. The last issue, there is a period which you've referred to politically as barren years of Ekhurhuleni, to characterize the problems that came with 2021, 2022, 2023, because during that year, really, those who wanted to do wrong things, they really exploited some of the instability that were in the environment. And it's not just issues that are before Madlanga, Matlala arriving, all these other things that started to crop up. These ICT challenges in the environment, they started to, and these are things that we are focused on to actually ensure that we deal with them and deal with them decisively, so that in the next audit review, MCs, I see the AG people there, they we're working very hard so that in this June, all these issues that we would have raised, we put them aside, and then we get the city back to its clean audit path, Chair. I want to give the team, including the chair of MPEC, in terms of the financial disciplinary board and all that, and some of the things that we've internalized to strengthen accountability and all that in the environment.
Thanks, EM, and thanks again for the detailed responses. I think I will just speak to the Honorable Maduna, Honorable Direko's question in terms of what is it that the city is doing to implement the recommendation made by the AG. On the slides that we shared, Chair, that was said that is just for you, it's embargoed. Those details are there in terms of what is it that we would be doing as a city, and also to trail what are we implementing as a city. And the other question that the member asked...
Sorry, so the intention was not that you then just say the slides are there. You can describe what is on the slides. What you agreed to do is not to flight the detail. So please describe what is on the slide. The members will be looking at the slide. So just say which slide number it is. Describe what it is you're doing. We're just not going to show it there.
Thank you, Chair. So in terms of the issues that were raised by AG, if you look at the on slide number 26, you'd see in terms of the progress that the city has embarked on and the progress we've made today, some of the issues that were raised by AG, how far we've gone. Some we've resolved them, and I think they're color-coded. You'll see the green one that shows that we've resolved. And the one that are in progress are also indicating what is it that we're doing and who is the person that is dealing with its issues and how they're interacting with AG, what are implementation processes that we're embarking on. And the 3 slides in detail, Chair, those are the processes that we would have embarked in as the city. The one that are in progress, those are the ones that are continuously engaging with the AG, because those processes remain part of the challenges that we would want to resolve before we close our books. And the constant communication that and the relationship that we have with AG to ensure that we finally close it and get the most anticipated audit that we need, a clean audit. So those issues we're working on them. If you look at number 14, 15, 16, those are in progress, Chair, on slide number 27. Those are the issues that we are working with the AG and how best we're also addressing those issues. And just to move so that Chair, to also save a bit of a time.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry to be a pain. I don't know if the members follow, but I don't. So can I ask you, what does the blue code mean on the slides that the members are looking at? So they're not the ones on the screen, honorable members. So the presentation that was sent, so they said to me there are some details here that might not be useful, might not be helpful to flight them publicly, but the members have. So if I look at that table, those 3 slides, 26, 27, 28, what does blue mean? Is there any significance to blue? Yes, tell us, what does blue mean?
Chair, they would have been explained here. So they are finalized, closed.
Okay, so we must not worry about blue,
yeah.
Okay? Because it's finalized, it's resolved, great. Then there are those that were in progress. I think you said focus on resolving manageable issues to prevent escalation, yes. Right? Yeah. When you were talking, I made a mental note that some of it had to do with access, security, etc. And you kind of spoke about it as if it's a small thing. It didn't seem like a small thing to me. And therefore, when you say manageable issues to prevent escalation, it appears to underplay it. So what is the level of risk then for the orange? Because, or at least, can you deal with the most pertinent of the orange issues? You don't need to go into the nitty-gritties of the technology, but we need to know. So, for instance, there's Microsoft license management. I don't think it's sensitive. What is the issue there? So I need you to give us color so that we don't walk out of here still not knowing what you mean. You know what I mean? So there might be, out of the orange, maybe the top 3 important are the following type of things, and you describe them. Then the members can ask follow-up questions.
All right, Chair. If I can just give a bit more detail without going to the specifics. The ones that are in orange, they have to do with, obviously, we've got issues of access control. We've spoken about it. It's not a light issue because it cuts across our systems. And that's what leads to some of the manipulation of accounts. So we've put a solution there. I wouldn't be able to name it here, but we've put a technology solution there to address that. And then also the issue around, which was the biggest issue with the AG, is the issues of having backup of logs, activity logs, what would have happened in the systems. So it's one of the solutions that we are at an advanced stage to make sure that we secure those logs and we are able to trace what happens then in the system and obviously address that. So those are the main issues, Chair, without going to the individual.
That's more helpful. Yeah, that's more helpful. Then at least we know. Okay. All right. Thank you.
No, I think the most has been covered by the EM, and the mine is to really confirm that some of the controls that are presented here would have been probed through MPEC, and they were responded to, including the issue of the supply chain, where we would have asked, similar questions and the plans, in addressing that, because from MPEC point of view, we realize that it's not just happening, it's recurring a number of years. So it can be that there will be silly things of a particular certificate that is not aligned or is not in the document, and few other things. So the response, I think it suffices, and with that, we're able to then pronounce ourselves and counsel and report back. And in closing, on my side, we really support the decisive, actions, especially on consequence management as well. Remember last time we had an issue of the disciplinary board, which now there's a move in that, so that we can really deal with the disciplinary issues, especially on senior management, on financial mismanagement. Thank you.
Chair, just a few questions. There was a question about fleets, transport and road. So the KTV, yes, the KTVR that are listed there, those are 2 deviations that happened during the part of the institutional review. Before, we used to have transport and fleet management as a separate department. However, now have been merged to fleet, transport and roads. So there were 2 deviations that took place during the year for KTVR. So KTVR is part of that deviation that Chair we spoke about last time, where the city is working with the taxi business in terms of the rolling out of this RPTN project. So the detail on the report, as well as the negotiation that are taking place with the taxi businesses, is part of what the CAE has shared. So then when we move to the issue of the extensions and deviations, Chair, as indicated in the last engagement, that our deviation were audited 100%, and there was only 1 deviation that was flagged to be irregular from AGSA, meaning from where we are sitting, those deviations we still say we could not follow a competitive bidding process. There was no any alternative. Then in terms of extension, I think it's still important to highlight that you'll see, based on the register that we've provided, that our extension, I will say 90% of our extension, we are extending time rather than amount. Because what we've noted is that we'll give a particular project to service providers, but you find that they can't finish within the stipulated time frame. So as much as they are continuing and finalizing the project, what we make sure that those contractors, they finish the project within their original allocated budget. So in that area, we are doing well. It's just that as part of the intervention that we've implemented is to remind departments that they need to initiate the procurement process on time to avoid these unnecessary extension. In terms of the recurring findings, we believe that if we are really intentional about consequence management, the results from there will really discourage our colleagues from commuting irregularities, because from AG's report, other non-compliance that were flagged, they are actually coming from unethical behavior. So the arrest, the suspension of colleagues, we believe that it will really bring those irregularities down. We've also capacitated our evaluation committees. As we know that we are dealing with human beings. Obviously, if you bring 500 documents on the 11th hour and expect them to evaluate, adjudicate, and award, there might be an element of oversight. So we are increasing the numbers in terms of the evaluation team. We are also making sure that we advertise to allow the committee sufficient time to actually review those contracts. And we've also incorporated the element of probity audit from our internal audit. So our internal audit will be reviewing those high value contracts before they are actually awarded. Then on the debtors, that was also contributing to our qualification. We are running CATs because these CATS exception, they are also helping us to identify if there are any accounts that on a continuous basis are being compromised, so that we try and establish corrective measures. Thank you, Chair.
Did you still want to say something? Okay. Honorable Maduna and Honorable Tereko, are you served?
No, there's just one thing I would have asked about the issue of the billing, and then no, I think the issue of internal audit. But I'm trying to understand. When you downsized, you made them a unit, then they report to city manager. But I would assume that would be only administratively. That is why I'm then worried when the CAE is presenting a management presentation. I'm not sure if you get me, because it's supposed to be is part of the management, but administratively, not functionally. So the decisions that are taken by management, even if he's there, he cannot tell you, he can advise you that the decision that you are taking is not in line with the law, but he can't tell you not to take it. That's where his responsibilities end. So that is why I was a bit hesitant when he's the one that does the reporting, because it's unusual. That is why as well I would have asked him if has he done the assurance on the presentation itself to ensure that everything that he presents here is certain that it's true. That's one. And then secondly, I think the issue of the report, I would have asked specifically who was doing the what is that was done to us as well. Vetting. Yeah, that was done to us. So I would have checked that as well. Who did the exact report? Because I just want to ascertain at what stage will you be able to start implementing it. And I do take the issue with the city manager, and we do encourage Mayor that on these things, because you see, the last time we were here, I did look maybe your previous 4 or 5 financial statements. And I saw, that is why I'm making the comments that I'm making. So I do not think the people of Ekhurhuleni still wants the municipality to be in that way. At some point I saw that even financially it was bad, your financial indicator. So that's why I'm saying the issue of consequence management is very important. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think just to these 2 questions. I think the first one was around the effectiveness of the audit committee. So the audit committee has been very effective. They've been, audited by the AG themselves, and also we have an independent firm that comes and review annually. So in terms of that, I think they are above par. So there's no questions about it. The issue around the vetting, it was an independent firm that was appointed through our normal supply chain process to do that on our behalf. The issue of just to Chair, I'm talking about myself. It's a conflict of interest. I just wanna declare that up front. In terms of the presentation, all the information that is here would have assured it from our side. That's why we can talk to it. So in terms of the accuracy of the numbers here. So let's just take an example of the pertinent issue, which are very important. The vetting came from my department, as you would have appointed, yeah. And also the issue of the ICT findings, because of the qualification issue. We had to assure the action plan from the ICT if it's sound, in terms of if whatever they submit in terms of action plan, is it something that will assist us, or is just a wishy-washy kind of action plan? So that's what my response is. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think the only 2 issues that are not necessarily audit, related, is the project performance here, and to some extent the back billing. But this back billing emanates from a problem that we're having of a 2 billion revenue shortfall. And where we go, because we must go back and do that billing. So the relevance of CAE here in assisting the city manager, becomes the most relevant person in terms of this information. Of course, anybody can present, I'm sure, but you wanted just certainty of his independence, and the item, as I've committed, is going to cancel, and we're just fixing that small anomaly so that his discipline and everything else around him is an issue of full cancel, not subjected to a CM or the administrative process. Thanks.
No, thank you very much. So before I go to Honorable Ment and Honorable Atkinson, I just want to say on this issue. So we make observations here as the committee sometimes. So the whole point about the CAE and their independence, and so this is a process of accounting to Parliament. The fact that the Chief Audit Executive has offered assurance on this information is welcome. However, the proverbial line gets crossed when he becomes the one who's presenting information and decisions over which he is not actually accountable. Right? That's the one thing. And I am saying this in a counseling context rather than trying to get anyone into trouble, right? Optically, it appears that in many ways you, Executive Mayor and Council, are increasingly relying on the CAE for some management functions. It's just optics, right? Because we do observe who speaks the most, what language they use, etc. Trust me, because people come here all the time, we even know when a principal and their main administrator don't get along. The principal sits here and the DG sits. We know, we see these things. Immediately you know, oh, there is a problem here, right? They don't want to sit next to each other. The ones that work close, they sit next to each other. We see those things. So I just want you to take Honorable Maduna's caution seriously. We don't need to have a long conversation about it. I really like you to take that caution seriously and just make the appropriate decisions all the way to places where you have to account, so that we don't face this kind of thing. Otherwise it becomes problematic. Thank you very much. It's just in a cautionary way. Honorable Mende, I'll start with you, and then unless you don't want to talk today anymore, and then Honorable Atkinson.
No, thank you, Chair. Even the voice is gone because the morning session was a bit hectic. No, thank you and good evening to everyone. Now, I want to start here, Chair, and re-emphasize the state of audit findings at Ekhurhuleni. That in the previous years, financial statements of Ekhurhuleni had no findings. Since 2021 until 2024-25, they become qualified with findings. That's the state of the audit. The overall audit outcomes were unqualified with findings for 2022-23, but became qualified with findings in the previous year. So the state of the municipality where financials are concerned deteriorated in the previous financial year. So I just wanted to correct that, because it's been put like, no, the mess was there, and no, the mess started this financial year. Now, Mayor, this is where we need to correct. You are coming for the second time just to highlight on the issues that we could not canvass on the previous moment. And when you speak to IT, which at most was forming part of majority of the findings, which have put you into the qualified audit. There's a slide that was there. I don't want to open it now. In terms of the ICT, and you say 10 issues are dealt with, 14 issues manageable. I'm worried because you're manageable, and then you're giving us a qualifying statement of sensitivity to certain answers that you may not give us. I take that for security controls and all of that. But when you are saying 14, and I read on the list the 14 areas, they are absolutely critical. They talk to the most critical components of your ICT. The AG says there is a fragmentation of accountability for security and controls. Chairperson tried to break it down in terms of the system, that fragmentation. And that fragmentation is the cause of the crisis you are in. It was highlighted. It's not that, Chair, it's a suspicion. It's not a suspicion. AG highlighted exactly that the fragmentation in your systems, not being able to communicate with each other, is a cause of this crisis. Because if you are at meter reading and then you are at billing, you are not able to connect the two systems. That is why the manipulation becomes easy. Then the AG says skills gaps compounded by vendor dependence. Now there's a second layer. That is, so your monitoring of the system is also challenged and limited. Why? You do not possess the skill to monitor the system. You depend on the vendor. And the vendor themselves is someone who's making money. They don't care much about what is happening there. You have employed them. But if you equally do not have the skill to know that the vendor is providing a service within which is 100% delivering the expectations of the municipality, then you can't sit here comfortable and say, manageable. What are you managing when you don't have a skill? Can we know that now? You've got a skill to manage the vendors you have procured for the municipality. Because you can't sit here and say, 14 manageable, yet you also can't read and you do not understand the system's complexities and how it communicates. Then the third thing, Mayor, I'm going to make an example. I did an oversight at Ekhurhuleni sometime when there was an issue of trucks. And I sat with the head of waste and I asked questions. It's in connection again with the systems, and there was the time of the service providers not being paid within 30 days, some were over 90 days not being paid, especially at waste. Now, here was a frustration for me. You ask the people who are protesting why. They say, we've been forwarding our invoices and everything. We're not being paid. You ask the municipality, no, the invoices have this document outstanding, incorrect information, whatnot and whatnot. And I ask a simple question. There's two things the municipality ought to have had in terms of system. The trucks of the municipality have a limited capacity. Now you outsource trucks. Fine, because the city must be clean. But what system are you using to track a tenderpreneur you have contracted for 10 trucks to service Tembisa? What system do you have to make sure that the 10 trucks are moving every day? How do you obtain information from its log system? That will then inform your invoice, their invoice, and your system that the invoice is actually equivalent to the log system. These are the kilometers, and this is the map. The map is actually confirming the invoice. You can see the map of the trucks that they moved from the entrance of Tembisa to the exit of Tembisa. They moved 10 streets today, they moved the others 10 streets the other day. Therefore, this particular truck, indeed, it must be paid. How do you then ask service providers, you have this information missing, that information is not missing, when both of you then start a dispute of saying, but you cannot tell me, you can't prove that your truck was here. What system do you have to make sure there is a tracker that monitors the map of these trucks in order to inform your payment? Because the invoice can be generated. And another problematic thing is your systems. A person tenders for 10 trucks. Then you don't know if the 10 trucks are on the road every day. You don't know. You can't tell us. Same applies to the workers. You have 100 workers that all of them go to the ground. You're dependent on a person to give you schedules that I had 10 cleaners in street A, we cleaned the street, it comes back, the schedule comes back, and it informs the HR payroll and all those things. But when it comes to the systems that have to control water, that have to control cleaning, that have to control even the tickets. Ekhurhuleni, this one is doing this corner, the other one is doing that one, the other one doing that one. But what's most problematic is that then there's no skill to monitor that if the vendor is giving you the service which you actually require and it's in line. Hence, the manipulation of the system was done, and it took so long for the municipality to catch up with it. The last thing, Mayor, is that, yes, you are saying the IT, head of IT was suspended. And I remember last time you spoke to some of the junior people, but there was no certainty because, yes, the head is there, and their job was to make sure that the right things are being done, but they are not done. However, the people who are monitoring the water meters, and they are manipulating the water meters, you close the water meter, they go open it, get 500 rand, ask a consumer if 500 rand, buy full water meter, and all of those things. Those that you have caught, it should have been part of this, because we spoke about this last time. How far are you with that? Because corruption starts there, gets 100 rand. Yesterday, I had a case of ESCOM. Call ESCOM to some place in Khayelitsha, bafika bafuna 100 rand. Uze bavuna umanza ndayiva sisezoya. So iqala kanjalo. Up here corner is going to thousands. Bazovala ngokwabo. Baphinde bayothi sizovula ubuna 1,000 rand. How do we also deal with that environment systematically? Thank you.
Thanks, Honourable Member. Honourable Atkinson.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks to the delegation from Ekhurhuleni. I know we spoke earlier about vetting, and obviously we had a big debate about what vetting means. My question is more on the issue of lifestyle audits. I was just wondering whether you've done lifestyle audits of your senior executives and who in the city has actually gone through that. Then I noted from the last meeting, just talking about water and water losses, that you spoke about water losses being reduced from 40% the previous year down to 28%. But interestingly, and I don't know whether this has been captured incorrectly, you mentioned that it had gone from approximately 1.2 billion in 2024 to 93 million in 2025, which is basically a 90% decrease. So the numbers, in a sense, don't add up. I don't know if I'm not reading things correctly there. So maybe if you want to just clarify as to exactly whether that is correct or not. And then the other issue, it came up in question time in Parliament today to the Minister of Water Affairs about the presidential group dealing with the whole issue around water infrastructure and the water losses obviously experienced by the major municipalities. I'm wondering what sort of interaction you've had with that presidential group on water issues. I know it was run initially by the Deputy President, and now it seems to have fallen into the President's office. But maybe you could just give us a little bit of information about the interactions you've had with the group and whether it's actually yielded anything positive for Ekhurhuleni. Thank you.
Thanks, honourable members. Please, can we deal with their questions in this sequence in which they came?
No, thanks, Chair. I think the first thing is the qualification and the year in which it gets reported. And I think these were our engagement with the AG. We delayed for a month, because the argument was that in my first quarter, 2024-2025, I picked up the 2 billion loss. I took it up, I confronted it, I took it away from, because it was taken by ICT as a function of energy, we took it back, and then it stabilized. We recovered our meter reading functionality improved 84% to 97% tick. That is why in the AG, that component of the 2 billion is done. The only component that is left is the hacking of the rates clearance, which reported the 559, which is the one that we are now finalizing until June. And we did engage with the AG and said, but this ITC issue, you had flagged it in the previous year, 2023-2024, but you accepted it. Why now, when we've confronted it and we've infected consequences, you decide to make it an issue in terms of the reliability of the AFS? They did say no, but we did highlight it as a risk. The municipality did not put up measures enough to deal with it. Then we had to accept it, because ultimately, where it gets reported at what year it affects my year is for me to commit to, together with this team, to actually resolve it. And that's what we committed to do. But we will continue to say, where does it emanate from? Where did it comes now even through the media, things that we did not, I don't have appreciation of. they come out. Now there's XCT, there's certain things that have been happening in the environment. We're now getting even finer details that 3 contracts during 2022, 2023 were being awarded and all those things, which created this type of a mess that we're sitting with. And while there's an extensive forensics that we've put up, working hard to actually resolve the problem. And I want at this level, because we have this debate a lot in the Council of Ekhurhuleni, and sometimes it doesn't assist us because we end up pointing fingers at what point we did what, and we lose the eye on the ball. And the eye on the ball is to get the city back into the right path so that we can actually achieve the clean audit. We'll still refer to the barren years because they presented us with Madlanga, they presented us with problems of ICT, so that we learn from them. We can go back and say, but something happened during this time. What went wrong? Where was leadership? Where was the state of management? And these things, they keep on cropping up. And there have to be an appreciation that we've acted and acted decisively, and that is why we are confident that we set certain measures in the story that we're telling. If we're able to achieve on this progress, there is no reason that AG will not give us an improved audit outcome. And I'm sure, Chair, it's an area that we'll continue to look at in terms of the IT controls and certain changes that were introduced and how they've messed up the billing, and they also allowed some of these tampering with the rates clearance. The last issue that you had raised, Honourable Member, is it's got to do with reliance on contracted services. It's a problem in municipalities. It's a problem of government that contracted services, a mere closing a pothole, there's a contracted services. Closing a pothole, which should be done by internal capacity. A mere grass cutting, why do you tenderize it? Because you don't need extensive expertise to do that job. You don't need heavy machinery in terms of tools of trade. It's a job that must be done internal. But over time, for whatever reason, internal capacity, they end up sitting in depots, not doing the work. Contracted services goes up, and all that. So it's something that we are changing. We're fixing the front lines. We're building capacity internally. We're resourcing the internal capacity so that we don't have reliance on the service providers. Even in the area of ICT, where there's somehow a specialized, because while you appoint a panel of service providers, you have an appreciation. ICT is innovative. Every day there's a new ways of doing things. You want to, automate, and you are acting in waste environment, HOD Park. You can expand on this. How do we manage better the service points? When the trucks goes out, how do you deploy, cameras that should study the behavior of the driver, but also to ensure that the teams that are working on that truck, they collect and they leave the environment, including just to count all that technology. You go to the ICT environment, you go to these panels, you then say, we need the deployment. In fact, often enough, ICT people, they're the ones who are innovative. They come with ideas to say, look, this is how the market we've moved. This is this innovation. We think we can do them. And then we engage them. But how do you measure the performance of that system that they've committed to do? And that is where probably some of the manipulation they actually happened. That is what has led us. Because when you build an ERP for us as a platform is based on solar. BCX, they assisted us because they used to do, if you go back, Venus. Across all municipalities, they use a system called Venus. So when we had a choice, when National Treasury said, we want SCOPA, all municipalities to be SCOPA compliant. SCOPA means it's a standard chart of accounts so that we can measure one municipality compared to how much coffee you produce and so forth. So when we had to move to that, we had a choice whether we're going SEP, whether we eventually, a product was presented, from ICT to say BCX is able to upgrade, into a solar program. Is much cheaper. There will be savings, and that becomes the platform. And you then build on it in terms of adding different modules, that is implementation, maintenance, and the language. And that is where some of these things actually happened. So out of us trying to automate the environment, those who are automating, they then take advantage of this and that. And that is why, you know, we are exposed like this. Now, do we stay away from a new innovation? No, it's something that we can't risk to do. It's a digitized environment. We compete on the basis of this and that, but we need discipline of the officials to assist us to implement these technologies without compromising, you know, the city. And I want you, Paki, to come in there in terms of, you know, the waste trucks. How to track this and that in terms of accountability and all that. But we have to find mechanism. We must be guided. In my office, we've now employed an advisor on security and ethics. We had to identify certain savings in the office of the mayor, and then we said we'll save here, we'll create this function. So we've got someone who's competent, who's been in different environment, qualified in the policing, but also qualified in the forensic, who is now an additional capacity to the mayor, so that we can also check the teams and what is it that we can do to introduce, you know, these other measures. So we're looking into all those, and the water losses. What I was saying is that when we introduce the water demand and water conservation measures, and it's important that we put this thing, because for you to deal with water problems, it's not an overnight thing. We in the city introduced this thing in 2014, which is more than 10 years ago. It was approved as a program where we had to spend a lot of money to build the reservoir. And I made it about, we built 29 reservoirs during the term of Mayor Masina. We spent 1.2 billion. 7 of those additional reservoirs were currently commissioning and finalizing. This has increased our capacity for water from 600 and something megaliters per day to about 988 megaliters. We're adding another 126 now. It will take us to 1,200, or just under 1,200 megaliters. So it means in terms of storage capacity, we can now go beyond 48 to 72 hours. Should something happen and that this is what makes us now to be champions, because this project, we've done it. We are now doing the pipelines, but we're also looking at downstream, the wastewater. Infrastructure South Africa, they just announced another 2.5 billion to make our projects to be bankable, so that we can actually fix that infrastructure. So that is one of the good stories, our pride, because while on the other hand we're struggling with these governance issues, but there's great stories that we're doing in terms of you know, service delivery. It is not just on the water. While others are battling about water tankers, on the energy front, that's where we've got a bit of problems with the tempering of our electricity cables. We suspect there's a syndicate there, because how it happens in Germiston, in Wadeville, occurrence in regular spaces and all that. Though we've deployed technology to deal with some of these things, we've escalated to SSA to say we'd like us to be assisted to study the pattern of what is happening here, because it's got an ability to undermine you know, how the city is actually performing. So the presidential group on water, they've been focusing largely on Johannesburg. With us, we are brought in as a champion to actually share some of our experiences, to assist Johannesburg, to assist Tshwane, but also other municipalities. So they come to Ekhurhuleni, they learn, and it is a pride. And thank you very much for asking that question, so that, you know, there's good stories as well are being told here before SCOPA. And I think I would just like Paki, maybe you can also come in, CFO and the city manager. just on the waste and what is happening there, because honourable members spend time on that one. Thanks.
No, thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, EM. Just on the issues in the solid waste environment, I think I would agree with the honourable mandate. We have fallen behind a bit on the digital transformation that will assist us in tracking some of the trucks. But just to reassure you that in terms of how many trucks go out every day and when we use contracted trucks, in the morning there is a fleet availability report that is generated by the depots. The same report is generated at around 7 p.m. To ascertain whether there's been a breakdown or if additional resources are required from the contracted trucks. But what we have done since then, since I think your oversight, we have started the pilot of our QR code system, which is the placement of QR codes on service sites, the bins, and that would be scanned when the truck passes just to track how many bins are collected. Over and above that, we want to your point about integration, we want to integrate the scanning of the QR codes with the route so we can start talking about route optimization to save fuel and to cut down the time it takes to collect waste around the city. We piloted it in 2 areas, one Bedford View and Tembisa as well. There were quite a few snags, just to be open and transparent. Sometimes the QR codes were falling off. There was difficulty reading the QR codes, so it's something that we are working on and reiterating. Over and above that, the new compactors that we have procured as a city, they're now on a full maintenance lease. Previously, they were not. Full maintenance lease allows us that when one breaks down, and the provider will bring in a new truck. And these are council-owned trucks so that we don't depend on the plant hire contract again, just to minimize those contracted services. But in the main, just to also answer about how we track, it's not perfect, but when the trucks have collected waste, they do go to the landfill. We do have weigh bridges. The weigh bridge does produce a receipt. We've already spoken to ICT to digitize the weigh bridge system. Obviously, it is vulnerable to human manipulation when we say it's 2 tons. Is it really 2 tons? But that process is also underway. So there is a digital transformation journey happening there, but to your point, and correctly so, it must be integrated so it speaks to all systems, including the revenue and how you track that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Then on the issue of the financial statements that have deteriorated, Honourable Member, on this one, I still say that the issue of the qualification, we really need to drill down on it, because it's not the entire financial statements that were really compromised. The qualification was really on the issue of receivables, because AG found out that our receivables balance cannot be relied upon because of the compromise that has happened into our system. So meaning in terms of our system that we have in place, the reviews, the preparation, as well as all the inputs that goes into the preparation of the financial statement, we are confident that all those elements are still intact, with the exception of the breach that the CAE has spoken about, of which is one area that we are really working on. But all other elements of the financial system, from where we are sitting, Chair, we are confident that we are still doing well, as we have been doing well for the past couple of years. Then on the issue of people that are illegally connecting customers, on that one I won't go into detail, but we do have a couple of customers that have come forward, that have volunteered to become whistleblowers. So EMPD is busy with the process, if I can say, a sting operation in terms of arresting those individuals. Hopefully in the next engagement we can give further details on that. I think at this point in time I'll just leave it there to say EMPD is working on that, because we do have residents that have volunteered and given us names, showed us pictures of the people that are involved in this syndicate in our township. Then in terms of the water losses, EM spoke on it overall, but just to give numbers, from 2024, we're sitting on non-technical losses, we're sitting on 78 million, of which those are units. But in terms of rand, we're sitting on 1 billion, meaning that there was a loss of 1 billion. Then coming to 2025, there was a reduction. We're sitting on 938, of which that's the rand value. But in terms of the units, we are sitting on 69 million. Then if we go in terms of percentages, the non-technical losses last year was sitting on 21.5%. Then under 2025 financial year, we are sitting on 18.8%, of which is really a significant decrease. And compared to the normal years across the country, it's something that we are really proud of. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Do you have any follow-ups, Honorable Mente? Okay, Honorable Atkinson is fine.
No, it's not necessarily a follow-up, Chair. It's one question. The mayor was coming all right in answering it, but he didn't fully get there. The issue of skills to match the required level of knowledge to manage and monitor the ICT collectively. I'm going to take it further and make an example. When I say, you say 14 areas manageable. My problem with that, you don't manage something that you yourself, you don't have knowledge of. How are you managing it? Have you now acquired that skill? Or are you still dependent on a vendor to tell you, things are fine, we're fine. But where I'm taking it further is look at item 24 and item 25 of your things that you are dealing with. I don't want to read them for the sake of safety, because this is what collapsed that system. If you can't manage number 24 and you don't have someone who can tell you day and night, 24 hours, that number 24 is intact, that system can collapse anytime. Again, the penetration, the illegal connecting, all those illegal activities can come in. Now again, do we have now that skill to make sure that those illegal activities do not penetrate the system again? Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, no. The problem is that you can see here, there's acting. We function on the acting capacity. In the ICT environment, CIO is on suspension. The person who takes care is the divisional head, who actually acts in the environment. We've, of course, had to source, capacity to deal with these problems. And one of the things that we're looking at is that we must then keep this capacity so that we can then build the necessary expertise. One of the things that had happened in the environment, the person who was our IT architect, looking at the security and so forth, was also from an external professional service provider. It was a resource managing, who gets what password, system log, and all those things. When we effectively have preferred consequences on the CIO, we also went to that capacity and said, you're not supposed to, because you can't have that function outsourced. We have now built that capacity into that space so that we close that gap. So these are some of the things that AG has highlighted to say a capacitation and over-reliance on these things. So over time, we must go out, we must build capacity, we must make sure that ICT has got the right capacity. As I've said it to you, we're dealing with these issues that we're dealing with, but the city is functioning, and I'm sure a greater conversation we must always have about the capacity in our HR environment. I mean, is a head of comms is acting in the waste environment. Some of these issues, we've taken them to council to fill them up. Certain things happen in council, we have to go back. We pass the 90 days, we must re-advertise. But we don't want to complain. The city must function under the environment, and we're gonna get it right. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. But I think AG must advise them because that manageable is misleading.
I do actually have a question on
The terminology manageable under the circumstances that you've just explained is very misleading.
So
AG, you and AG, you must find a proper term to coin that particular area of 14 items there.
So can I, before, yeah, so I have a similar issue, but we can maybe get through it in a more exact way. So the AG says, IT controls do not provide reliable assurance over, no, hang on, sorry, the next one. So that critical cybersecurity weaknesses successfully exploited during penetration testing. Then they say internal and external. Please correct me if I'm wrong. They tried to hack to see if they can hack, and they did. Is that what it means? That's what isn't that what penetration testing is?
I can come in. Yes.
Oh, it is.
Yes, that's what penetration test is about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just hang on to that thought. Please take me to your slide that you've that we can't see. You remember that table? Yes. Okay. Take me to, so which intervention there is supposed to solve that problem? On that day, you don't need to project it. So just tell me which, between slide 26, 27, and 28, where is it?
You see number 24, which Honorable Mende was talking about. It's just that obviously there's more details there. But what then happens is that you then deploy.
No.
Sorry.
Don't try and suppose where I'm going. Let's just go to.
No, I'm trying to answer it, teacher. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. To say, for example, issues of penetration, we know. I mean, we don't have to say that word that's on slide number 24, but we have hardened that process.
No, that's where I want you to take me. So can you please, so I was reading from what the AG presented to us. Okay, so I'm now, out of your solutions there, the action plan overview, right? Take me to the slide where you are implementing something to resolve that problem. Because you see where the problem is. The problem is, when you spoke earlier, it was like a password thing. Do you remember? It was like a password thing. It's not a password thing. So now I have now lost confidence in your explanations. So now please take me where you have got a solution for this. What number is it? There's number 1 to 11 on the first slide. On the second one, there is 12 to 22. Which number are we talking?
Chair, if you go to number 32.
So we are now going to number 32.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me see what it says over there so that... Okay, you see, so yes, let me read it now. So exploitation of critical vulnerabilities. I won't mention the name. It says in progress. Address findings from penetration testing and remediate identified critical vulnerabilities. So that's what you are supposed to do. Security teams have requested supporting, I don't know if it's annexures, and are coordinating remediation, planning, and validation activities. You have not solved that problem. No, I know. Here's my problem. You've said it's manageable. But as you sit here, you don't have confidence that you can prevent it. Because you still haven't put a solution in place, have you? Do you have a solution in place right now?
Yes, Chair. We've got a solution.
Why does it show as in progress here?
Chair, I think with your extensive knowledge on these aspects, you know that with ICT you can implement a solution, but you still have to test it. So that's where it is now.
Colleagues, know when you make submissions to Parliament, you must make the status where it is. I have just read what you've said there. And it doesn't say you've implemented a solution pending testing, number one. Number two, if you haven't tested something, you haven't tested it. So I have a difficulty with you guys using the term manageable. So I've now lost confidence in all of these orange things. As a consequence, Executive Mayor. I have now lost confidence in your explanation of what you consider to be manageable or not. Because it's misleading to these committees here. You have not managed this, but anything that's manageable, something that's minor. When I gave you an opportunity to describe what is on here, you mentioned passwords. You deliberately omitted the most critical aspect that the AG highlighted to us. So how do we then trust anything else that is now amber?
Thanks, Chair. Maybe just to take it a bit further, the issue of the terminology that I would understand that there's a bit difficulties in us explaining it, but for us when we said manageable, we say we understand the challenges, we are in a process and a progress to resolve it by the end of the financial year. There are processes that are in place to ensure that that we've identified as a challenge, we are en route to resolve it, Chair. Equally, with additional capacity on this issue like number 32, there are also additional support that the department is sourcing to ultimately, by the end of the financial year, that's why they're working together. And I think in my earlier submission, Chair, would have heard that I said the department is working closely with ICT. So this process, it's not left solemnly into the department. They're working very closely with the AG in terms of resolving these issues that have been identified. That's why it's coined manageable in the AG's terminology. Maybe that's the issue. And
it simply means you can solve it, but you have not actually solved it. But you see, substantively, it's misleading. Substantively, it's misleading because you see there, read there. What does Orange say? It says okay. It says okay. Are you okay with penetration? Do you consider yourselves to be okay? I haven't even tested the thing, so we don't actually know. Anything that is okay needs to be blue or green. Right? You've put it in orange, but then you put the word it's okay, which says, okay, it's fine, don't worry about it.
The dialogue, Chair, if you go on to the bottom part, that you see there's priority, the focus area, and then there's red that is high, medium, ongoing. And I think that's what we are also addressing there. Look at the very same color coding, Chair. If you look at the high, which is red, that is still, and the green that is ongoing, which is the 9, that is good, and the orange that says medium, it speaks to the 14. If you look at what is written there, address the 14 manageable, and you look at the top, the ribbon there that says 14 manageable. So the color coding is the same, but I'm just, here it says medium, high, in terms of the ranking of the vulnerability of the issues, we've rated it in high. So this is, in terms of the risk, we understand it, but we're saying medium because we're in progress to ensure that by the end of the financial year, these issues would have been resolved.
Okay, the financial year ends so basically a couple of weeks away from solving the problem, right? But you have not solved it. Can we agree? You have not solved it. It's not green. It's not blue. You have not solved it, right? Therefore, it's still not okay. You to accept that is still not okay. It can't be. Otherwise, the things that are okay are blue. Those ones are okay, sorted, right? Orange, not sorted. That's the first thing. And see, I have to say, in line with our conversation that we had with Honorable Maduna here, you really seem like the city manager. No, and it's not, it's a very serious matter. You are playing a management role in this meeting, and I don't know why. Why is that? Why is that happening, Mayor?
We did explain that these are audit issues, and for assurance, because whatever that we do within the ICT environment, the interventions that we deploy in that environment, we are assisted greatly. Also, when we need an intervention, for instance, I did indicate Deloitte, we had to go and get the expertise to go into that environment.
Executive Mayor, you are not answering my question. Can you please answer my question? This gentleman here is part of management. He answers all the questions here. He is not the one who's accountable for these issues. Why is he answering? That's my question. I don't want to know about Deloitte. Why is this gentleman answering all the questions that management should be answering? It gives us the impression that he is no longer independent. Honorable Maduna was right. I tried to be gentle in warning you about this. You did not listen to me because I was gentle about it. This situation here is untenable, and he needs to choose whether he is part of management or not. He can't do both. And as somebody with professional affiliations, he needs to know better, and it doesn't appear that he does. This is an extremely serious situation that we're dealing with here, Mayor. This is no joke. I know we laugh and stuff, but this is not good. This gentleman is part of management. You need to find a new CAE then and give him another role in the municipality so that he can be part of management. But this situation we have here where he's answering all the questions is unacceptable. Let the city manager answer the questions. Please. It's very serious, Mayor, this matter. It's very serious. This is like asking a coach to become the referee in a game. Sorry, the referee to become the coach. Can't work like that. So the principal problem I have here is what appears to be an attempt to mislead the committee, which now makes me nervous about why it is you did not want us to flight these slides. Because this here, penetration testing was successful, you still haven't tested the solution, you're telling Parliament it's okay. That's misleading. And I don't think, colleagues, that is okay. So now you're going to make me go through the whole list, which I don't mind doing. So can you please tell us what other serious serious issue that the AG raised that has now still not been resolved? Please answer, City Manager.
Thank you, Chair. The other issue that the AG raised was the environmental controls and the data center that were also in the progress. It's on the same slides that we were talking to just now.
Number 26.
Thank you, Chair. And the other one is the one that we earlier spoken about on the issue of the controls, the lock controls. And I think the issue was ventilated earlier on. The other one was on the revenue-related issues on number 29. The other one is on number 31, which is the SCOPA system. And number 33, and that is the weakness in also the solar and the SCOPA. So these are the systems that we would use in terms of the customer interfacing. So those are the weaknesses, Chair, that...
yeah, so I can see why you guys didn't want us to put this up here, because this work is nowhere. And let me tell you why. So let me tell you why. based on what you guys yourselves have written. So let's go to firewall management, number 24. Okay?
Just to ask, Chair, that maybe if we can have a further extension on these issues in camera.
No, we're not going to have any of this in camera. We've now been misled. There's nothing that's going to happen in camera. So let's go to number 24. Firewall management weaknesses, okay? You've told us it's okay. Provider engagement is underway. On number 24, provider engagement is underway. You've just engaged with a provider. What does engagement even mean? Are you talking to them? Are you contracting with them? What does engagement mean? What use are we supposed to make of these slides if we can't understand the meaning of what's here?
Chair, I think the issue, as earlier on requested by EM and the CA, is that we probably would not have put in all the reasons why, because we did not wanted to mention the challenges just for security risk. There's a lot that we're dealing with. It's just that, like EM was saying, maybe not for us to discuss it in public, because these are also creating vulnerability towards our system. So if people know what we're doing, and you would understand in the IT and environment, it's forever, it's not static, it's forever evolving. So people are very creative. Before we leave here, somebody would have created another login that to also get into our system. So those are the issues. But we have, and we can, and we are willing, Chair, with your indulgence, we are willing to also to provide the details on in terms of what is it that we are doing by the 30th of June, as per the progress that and interaction that we are currently dealing with AGSA. We will be in a process to even indicate to you how far we have gone, what are the issues, and even there are still impediments, how do we even resolve those issues here?
So how do you think this conversation would have gone if Orange said work in progress? Do you realize how different our conversation would be? You realize that, ne? You've told us it's okay, it's manageable. This is why we are now having this difficult conversation and we feel misled. And you, sir, provided assurance on it. Do you see where you've put yourself? Colleagues, please, can we just, when we deal with Parliament, I know we've got a lot of workload ourselves dealing with different things, but please, can we be taken seriously in terms of the truthfulness of the information that we get? Because all that gets you to is that description that you put there. That's WIP, that's work in progress. Yeah, this conversation would be totally different. Okay. Thanks very much, colleagues. Chair, I am sorry. I know I've delayed you. Oh, sorry. Honorable Mendes, yes, just one more, and then I'll hand over to Chair.
No, I just want to understand city manager, because this one is not the mayor. Mayor can guide as much as he wants to, but they are operational people. When AG alerted you to these things, of course you don't have the skill to pick it up. When did you start acting on them? Because the time frame at this point, critical areas of this, all those components would have been dealt with by now. The fear you are having now that technology is evolving, but at this point, you ought to have put measures in place if you really took this seriously. When did you become aware and when did you start acting? It's not the mayor now. Oh yeah, it's mayor. You are not operational mayor. Now abantu ababhadalwayo. Kwenzeka ntoni?
So the issues would have been picked up through our internal process, your OPCA meeting. These issues would have been picked up in the OPCA. So when the issues were raised, then the city and the department started engaging. And we then went and took it a step further to say, how best do we assist? You'd also have an appreciation that, like you said earlier on in your earlier submission, that the challenge is that the skills. We even went and took it further to say, how best we even do our own recruitment internally to address the gap and the challenges that the city and that the department is currently facing, so that we close and not rely completely onto the contracted services. So we have gone that route there, member. The issue were identified through OPCA, and the issues were ventilated. Now we are almost at the tail end of resolving the issues. We are even at the recruitment together with HR to close the gaps and the skills challenges. There were indeed skills gap and challenges identified. We are working towards closing that as well. So, but the Group CFO can also add on the other issues that I would have omitted. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think most of the information I would have been privy to it because it was discussed as part of the turnaround strategy that was able to oversight. So I will list some of the activities that have been implemented around the IT area. And this is the information that has been tabled by our ICT guys. I know CAE and EMS said maybe we should not go into details. For an example, there's a deployment of a 24/7 security operations center monitoring, of which that monitoring center we never had before. Because what we had identified is that most of the tampering, they tend to happen after hours. And us monitoring the system only during working hours was not working. So we implemented that. It's something that is available that can also be seen. Then there's a regular patch management and vulnerability scanning. And this submission we submitted, what I'm about to read here is these are implementation that were done in April, on the 22nd of April. So this was our submission at the time. Then we've also implemented a dedicated firewall to separate the financial system from the rest of the network. This was meant to ensure that no unauthorized access into our environment. Then we also immigrated the current system to a private cloud to separate the existing COE data center. Because when that tampering was happening, we identified that keeping a physical backup was not really working. That's why we decided to have a backup on a separate cloud, so that in case there's tampering, we are able to restore data and reconstruct this account. I think the list is just long. It's just that it was not projected there in detail in terms of the work. Unfortunately, it looks like we haven't done anything, but Honorable Mente, we have done a lot of work around this cyber security, and this is not the new information. This was shared with our oversight in April. Thanks, Chair.
All right, thanks very much, colleagues. Can I beg your indulgence, Mayor? So the chair need, I see you, Honorable Dola, I'm multitasking a bit. So the chair needs to project something that is on his computer, which means, with your indulgence, if you can, we can just borrow the cable that's being used for the projection so that we can connect it over here. Oh, do you need to sit there? Oh, you are being evicted. My apologies for evicting you. We don't do. No, it's fine. Then keep it there because Denzel needs to sit there. So he's now going to account to the committee. He now works for Ekhurhuleni. And if he fails, Honorable Mayor, you must constitute a financial disciplinary board for him. And then bring him to SCOPA. We will deal with him. Yeah. He's been irregularly appointed anyway, just now in this meeting. unauthorized expenditure. Yeah, no, then I will. Honorable Mdolo, and then I'll hand over to the chair after you.
Yeah, no, Chair. I think it is critical that we revisit the issue of the chief of police, Metro Police, is incapacitated, and this matter has been raised here, and then we are expected to look into this matter, because we can't have a situation whereby this metro has no chief of police and there's no deputy chief of police, and then we just leave it like that. So I think it is critical that actually we look into this issue. As you will know, Chair, that the chief and the deputy chief of police are appointed by the municipality, but they are appointed in terms of the Police Act. So I think actually it will be important that the province, COCTA in this case, provincially and nationally, as well as the National Commissioner of Police, they should look into this issue. Maybe they should consider secondment in terms of the Police Act, because we cannot actually allow and leave the situation unattended. So we have a duty and obligation as this Parliament to actually look into this issue. I think COCTA provincially and nationally, as well as SAPS, the acting police commissioner, must actually look into this issue. That's whereby actually the issue of vetting will have to come in when this matter is dealt with. So whereby SAPS, in agreement with COCTA, provincial and national, will have to second a commissioner that will have to act in this metropolitan. So this must happen, Chair, as a matter of urgency, because the Honourable Mayor has stated categorically clear that actually they are incapacitated, so they can't actually act and do their work effectively in this regard. I thought maybe, Chair, it is important that we can't just leave this matter lying down like that. Something needs to be done urgently with regard to that department. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much. And thankfully, the chair of the Portfolio Committee on COCTA is sitting next to me. And so the matter has gone straight to his ears. And I think if he wants to comment, he will. Thank you very much, Honorable Mdolo.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks for handling this meeting. I see you got lots of energy. I thought by now you'd be dozing off, but it looks like Ekhurhuleni is very inspiring to you.
I'm about to.
I'm going to just deal with issues in kind of two aspects. The first aspect, I just want to go through the issues that we're lifting up from our point of view from the Auditor General's report. The second aspect, I'm going to request you to look at certain issues that for us are a reflection of the weaknesses that are pointed out here. And we would need you to give us more information about them. But I would ask you, maybe Mayor or City Manager, if you are aware of the issue, or not, and then we'll move on. If you want to comment about it, we've got all the time, but I just want to get a sense of which ones you will be aware of. I think a number of them you will be aware of. I can't say all, but I'm just saying that a number of them. Now, this exercise, you know, when we're discussing how we came in to say, look, let's manage our conversation differently, it's because for us it's an accountability exercise. It's about just inquiring, getting information, and trying to align the facts of what is going on in the municipality with regards to the framework within which we expect the municipality to be run. And it's our role and our mandate to ensure that there's accountability right across. As you will see at the end, our focus on accountability is not just the municipality, it's the entire value chain of the governance in terms of the three spheres. So some of the issues we deal with here, we will actually have to deal with the provincial and maybe even national. So we want to just deal with it from that point of view. And therefore our focus becomes what are the issues raised by the Auditor General that are looking at the weaknesses in the system. And it's important for us to look at those issues because we believe that you should have your own systems that are able to pick up issues, prevent problems from occurring, so that there will be less and less of the problems that would have seen. At the end, we're looking at the Auditor General should not be your main system by which you pick up things that have gone wrong. It must be your own internal control systems that must help you to pick up issues, prevent them, mitigate, and then act long before things go wrong, so that the Auditor General doesn't find anything to actually comment about. That's how we understand the situation. And our role is to actually say, are we focusing on those issues? So you'll see, therefore, that when the Auditor General says we've given you a qualified audit opinion, he raises the issue of consumer debtors, manipulation of computerized accounts, receivable systems, compromise credibility, reliability of accounts receivable balance. Now, we don't want to interpret what the Auditor General is saying, but there is an issue in a municipality that has got the Chief of Police is not in, the MM, the Chief Information Officer, and so on. There are just too many senior managers who are affected. And certainly, the fact that they're affected means somewhere along the line, whatever would have caught up with them would have actually caught up with your system, somewhere along the line. And so when we sit here, then we start looking at a number of instances of things that would have happened, and we say, can we take assurances from what you are saying? You're going to demonstrate to us factually that, in fact, the situation is as you believe. That's why you have the chair now beginning to say, no, but we can't say we believe all the things that you say. But don't even worry, because you can never try and make us believe. You just table the facts, whether we believe them or not. It depends on how we understand them and how you table them. And half the time we may not even agree with you. So that's not the issue. But this issue of the manipulation of computerized accounts has got an impact, even on the way in which you can actually estimate your own revenue. Now, there's an aspect later that talks about unfunded budget, but I'll deal with it just later when I come in. Then this next aspect relates to inadequate design and implementation of IT controls. It is a problem. Now, I didn't quite follow what was the reason why the CIO was suspended. You can just briefly, not a lot of things.
It was ICT controls and revenue shortfall.
Just put the mic on, sorry. Just say that again.
It was ICT controls and revenue shortfalls, billing systems.
Okay. But he's a CIO,
Yes.
and then the issue of budget controls, it doesn't affect the CFO.
Budget controls.
Well, you said the issue was the
It's a billing system.
billing system.
And the controls that the issues that we're discussing, rates clearance and
Okay.
and billing systems.
All right. No, I think we'll have a bit more time to deal with that. Let's move on to the next issue. The point which I'm very interested in. Okay. Now that aspect of the unfunded budget, we'll have time later so that you can tell us exactly, how we ended up. The last time we raised this issue, there were issues which were a bit confusing to us in the way it was coming up, but I won't waste time now, but we tried to talk about it in the previous situation, so maybe we'll have to come back in the future on that. And then, of course, you've got other issues relating to the certain concerns on the budget. That's all on the report, so I'm just going through it because I'm saying when we look at Ekhurhuleni, these are the issues we're looking at. Next slide. Then there are issues here of procurement and contract management. Here, the issues of contracts being awarded to bidders based on points given for requirement that differed from those. So this was raised by the members here. And then contract performance inadequately monitored. Let's move to the next slide. Then, of course, a number of supply chain deviations or challenges, unfair to disqualification. Now, once you get that unfair disqualifications, it tells you that there's collusion inside. Contract performance and monitoring measures not in place. And I heard you were all arguing about it doesn't happen that there's a misalignment within the percentage total payment to the percentage completion of the particular file. There was that discussion here, and for us, that issue raises that question quite a bit, and so we will be wanting to follow those issues. Then, of course, performance contractors or providers. When I raise some of the issues, you'll pick up these issues which we have got concrete examples of how we would want you to show us how you're dealing with this. And then potential misrepresentation. I don't even need to make notes. We'll send it back to you as well. But this is all in the AH's report. And the possible collusion between officials and bidders, that for us is very serious because it may be very difficult to pick up. But in fact, if it's happening, it means the system is really it's decaying. And that's a serious issue. Next slide. Then the issue of deviations, we're seeing this quite often, and sometimes officials believe if the decision to deviate was done in a particular procedure, it's fine, when in fact you cannot understand the basis on which all of those things happen. And so we pick this up, we're following it on all the municipalities as a matter of concern. And then the last point there is about timely consequence management for transgressions. That is the reason why we ended up with all of these committees working jointly to come in to say we want to be able to get a concrete proof that in fact there is consequence management. Let's move on. Okay. Then, of course, these issues, you will all have seen them there. The issue of deviations is an issue, conflict of interest is an issue, and then non-compliance with quotation processes is an issue. Let's move to the next one. The issue of impact, as you will have seen there, the recurring weaknesses reflect a breakdown in ethical leadership and accountability, and the tone at the top. Part of my point of saying that we've got so many leaders who are suspended for various reasons is actually raising this issue, because if it would happen in another area, it would probably happen in something that would affect you here already. So the tone that's coming from the top is not very helpful, and that's what the AG has picked up. Then the rest of the other issues of the inconsistencies with bid criteria and all of that, so you'll see those as issues. Let's take the next one. These were the ones. Now, for us, these issues are important to be audited because we're all here about service delivery, and this is the core of it. And anything that has been mentioned before has got an impact on the service delivery issues: water, sanitation, electricity, human settlements, roads, and so on. Never mind what they audited, but from our point of view, we pick up issues from the public because of these particular issues. Let's move on. Of course, we've got these issues there. That's again on the concern from the AG on the various issues on roads, on electricity, in particular in terms of contract administration. Let's move on. Now, where we sit as Parliament, we're looking for accountability right across. So maybe read from the bottom. Here, the ministers, the national departments, we would sit here and we'll be actually asking them to answer about you as Ekhurhuleni. So everything we pick up from here, we will actually be sitting with the minister and asking them and the department what is happening in Ekhurhuleni, because you are there. There are particular constitutional provisions which actually binds them to be able to oversee and support and act in the case of certain things happening. Same with the provincial government. That was the reason why we were sitting there with the provincial government, although we didn't get a lot of support from the provincial legislature in Gauteng. And then, of course, Speaker and Council. Speaker is in it. There's no way they can be out of it. For some of these reports of things that are being done, they need to actually be able to look at them in the Council, but also Speaker and the legislature need to be actually getting the same report. So it's not just executive, mayor, and city manager. Of course, those are, and the rest of the team. So those are the ones. So what we are making a point here about is that our exercise is more about accountability, and so when we discuss with you, all we want is factual information. And once we think that you're trying to make us understand things in a particular way other than letting the facts talk to us, then of course you start having a bit of a challenge. So I have a number of issues here which I would like you to, you could just indicate, Mayor or somebody, we're aware of that case. If you are, that's fine. We're going to tell you what we need from that on that case. The first one is the issue of rates clearance and billing tempering crisis, which in this case involved about 100,600 accounts and 273 million lost. A pattern here was that of unauthorized adjustment applied directly within the billing system, lack of audit traceability due to insufficient logging and weak accesses. And this issue basically says that somebody inside the department and some people outside, they colluded to actually change the bills. So when there's an issue about the IT and manipulation, we've got something concrete here. So what we'd like to know is, would you be able to, firstly, I don't know if you can confirm you're aware of such reports, and then can you confirm that there have been adequate consequence management here? Can you guarantee that the culprits were identified and have been uprooted, and that the mayor provide a detailed report which will assure the Parliament that this interference is not continuing as we speak? Okay.
Yeah, we are aware, Chair, and that's what we were dealing with just now.
Okay, so So you'll give us a report with all of this. We'll send you this question.
Yeah.
Then I'll give you another case. There's a case reported in Germiston. It's case 1280725. The other one is 3170125. And it seems to be related to a 5 million rands which was given to a company. I'll give you the name, I do have it. But in terms of the media reports, it basically says that it's a company that was given money without doing any work, and on top of that, they couldn't even find the location other than the Gmail address. We're familiar with that.
Yes, I think we're aware. We're familiar with it. In fact, in our report, in the previous, we also listed it. Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, I missed that, so we will actually ask you to resubmit. And then there's another case from Finance Department where there was a suspected fraudulent payment involving No, when you finish, I'll continue.
No, but I was just saying.
Okay. All right. In this case, there is a suspected fraudulent payment incident involving approximately 48 million in payment, 48 million, and that the payment instructions was executed through ABSA integrated online. And then somebody, a manager in the department, in the municipality, received a call. Oh, sorry. Somebody received a call about this issue, and then somebody disputed this transaction. But then someone else called ABSA and said no. In fact, that I've got the names. So somebody called and then said, no, that transaction was legitimate. And then that process allowed the money to go through. And then afterwards, when this whole confusion was detected, they tried to refund the money. But in fact, they couldn't refund all of it. 8 million rand had actually been laundered through cryptocurrency, and so it didn't come back. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that one. No. Somebody knows. Okay. Yeah. And do you even know what action has been taken on it? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, the funds were returned, but since then, because we could not really identify the perpetrator, because we opened the actual case with SAPS, but since then we've intensified our payment control because they tampered with our banking details. So since then, there's no payment that happens to a service provider that is not on CSD. So the payment happened to bogus companies that were not even on our database, not even on CSD.
Payment from your account,
our bank account,
from your account went without you knowing.
Yes, because on the day when we were working with the team, I think it was on a Friday, all of our laptops were down. We could not access the payment platform, only to find that the hackers, while our computers were off, they were busy transacting to companies that were not even on our database, companies that were not even on CSD. So my senior manager, when he knocked off, that's when he got a call from ABSA to say there's a transaction of this money that is happening. Are you aware? Then the senior manager said, you can block those transactions because for the past 3 hours, we haven't been able to access our payment platform, the entire team.
So we're going to need more information about that. And the issue for us, we need to know in full details what action was taken, and also want to know who has been charged, the level to which the matter has been investigated to be able to give us that kind of report. So we'll need a report on that. But what would be strange is why would the mayor not be aware?
2 years ago, I think we'll just check because the matter was reported to ICT. At the time, obviously, I was a divisional head for expenditure. I reported to CFO, of which I think the CFO did brief the city manager. So we can just check why the executives did not brief the EM's office. But the matter was reported to legal.
The city manager was briefed?
The city manager was briefed.
And the city manager, okay. Look, let's get also to hear the reporting, who reported to who and how come the mayor doesn't know then. Okay. Let me move to the next one. Another one is an investigation to alleged 120 million transfer to Gauteng province. This is money that should have actually been moved from finance department and was supposed to have been transferred to Gauteng. We'll give you more details on that, but what we'd be interested in would be, again, what steps have been taken to deal with this kind of incidents, and who are the people that would have been associated. If anybody knows, do you know about that?
There was no transfer of 120, but we will give details. The team were able to see before they made a transaction that someone came into our system and changed the banking details. So before we transacted, we were able to pick up the transaction. So there was no transfer of the funds. But we'll give the details.
Yes, it's less about the transfer rather than the breach. If you know what my point is.
Okay.
It's not more about if somebody attempted to break in to steal but didn't steal, but still was attempting. That's the part we're interested in.
Okay.
And more importantly for us is whether in fact this is a collusion of people from inside and outside. That's the reason why the points that are coming from the HE to us, we have to understand exactly what's involved in that. Then there's another case of manipulation of supplier banking details. This would be involving a company. I think we'll just submit this to you because I don't want to be naming the names of the companies. But the names of the companies are here, and the amounts involved was, in this case, was 7.8 million, and the issue is what has been done, what investigation should have had a forensic investigation, has it been done, and what is it that has been found, and have we identified the culprits, and what actions have been taken. That's what we would want to get. So we'll send this to you. The reality being that we are more interested in what steps would have been taken. Now, if you pick up these issues in a municipality where a lot of senior managers have actually been taken out for various reasons, it's very difficult not to suspect that there's a lot more going wrong here. That's the point that we're trying to make to you. And that's the reason why we're beaming back the report of the Auditor General. Then there was another project which was called the upgrade and renewal of SAME Germiston project. SAME, S-A-A-M-E. I don't know if they correct pronunciation. SAME, yeah. You obviously are aware of that. And in this case, the major concerns that arise are those of profound weaknesses in internal control, absence of documented procedures for managing variations, lack of comprehensive analysis to deal with competitive bidding and all of this. So again here, issuing of unauthorized variation orders, payments processed outside the established delegation of authority. There are lots of issues that come out of this one. Now again here, we would want you to be able to give us more information about that. So when we talk about issues of lack of strong contract management that was raised by the AG, we're dealing with concrete cases here where we can actually see this issue. And so when we raise these issues and you see the members being very hesitant to believe some of the issues, it is not because we're not hearing what we're saying. It's because it doesn't tally with some of the issues that we're concerned with and we don't have answers. That is the basis of our own approach to accountability here. So we're going to send you this, and we're going to ask you for more detailed information so that we can deal with this, including now the issues that have been raised by the chairperson of SCOPA, so that when we sit here, we would want to follow to see that you are able to correct what has been raised by the Auditor General in the next audit cycle. All of these things should be evidence of correction. But for us to know that that direction we're taking, we're going to be looking at this. How are you dealing with this thing? That's why when the chairperson says you must be specific, you have not started working on this, you must be specific and not create an impression that you have, because even here we don't want answers that create an impression. We want the concrete thing, what is happening, not that no, we would do this, we would do that. If you haven't done it, that's fine. What we want to know what has been done, because that is the way we can actually deal with the correction of the issues that are raised by the Auditor General. So let me hold it at that, because it looks like most of these issues we are aware of. Chairperson, I think within 10 days we should be able to get some of this. In fact, looks like the mayor says maybe tomorrow, but we'll give you 10 days.
Yeah,
we'll say tomorrow.
Some of the issues are issues that we've been seized with. For instance, the last one, Same Building, the forensic report which was done was processed by myself in council. It was reported, and even the measures that were supposed to take place were processed. Administratively, we will then provide you with the forensic and then say what measures, how far are we, to follow up on consequences on various, exactly on what we are raising. So it should be easy. It won't take long to put together at least this one, because I know about it, even the first one. So it should not take long, Chair. That's what I'm trying to emphasize, to say we should be able to compile and send through.
Okay, so we don't need to wait for 10 days, so we should say 5 days?
Well, 10 days is fine. I see the teams here, they're saying yes.
I watched the body language of General over there. General was like, stop him.
Anyway, Chairperson, thank you very much. And let me also just say thank you very much to you for coming back for the second time. Look, Parliament is your home, so if we invite you next time, don't feel bad. We would really want to have more time to go through and engage with you. So we will decide after 10 days when the information comes how we would like to follow it up. Otherwise, also let me say thank you as well to the honorable members. I know we've dragged it much longer than you had anticipated, but as you know, some of the stuff can be so inspiring that you really can't let it go. So we really hope that it has dealt with the issues that we wanted to deal with. And to you, Chairperson, and for your energy and all the patience and endurance, I want to say thank you as well. This is it on my side. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Mayor, I hope the numbers haven't been changed on that budget while you were sitting here in the meeting. But thank you very much. Have a safe flight home. I know you've got an early flight. And sorry for keeping up. If you can get a few hours sleep ahead of the trip, thank you very much. No. Give the mayor a chance.